We welcome you to Jackie Robinson Stadium in Los Angeles, where we have reached the Super Regionals. And we've got a contrast of the old guard and new blood set to fight it out for a spot in the College World Series. It's the 15-seed UCLA Bruins taking on the UTSA Roadrunners. Hi there, folks. Nick Cope and former pitcher Sid Iyer on hand. Delighted to be back with you for this best-of-3 series for one of 8 coveted places in Omaha, Nebraska next week. One group of players will realize that dream over the next 2 to 3 days.
I mean, this is what you want when you're in college baseball. You want to get to the postseason, but that big goal of getting to Omaha, and it starts right here with 2 really talented teams coming here to LA.
As you size things up, you immediately recognize the history and the pedigree of UCLA, juxtapose a program in UTSA that has never been here before. This is UCLA's 26th NCAA tournament appearance, their 7th time in the Supers. The Bruins have 5 College World Series appearances with the national championship in 2013. UTSA reached the field of 64 for just the 4th time this season. This is a program that only dates back to 1992. They had never won an NCAA postseason game prior to last weekend. They never had a 40-win season in their program's history. They have shed all of that to put themselves 2 wins away from Omaha. Now, of course, none of that matters at all this weekend. These 2 teams each won their regular season championship in their respective conferences. Both went 3-0 in the regionals. 47 wins now for UTSA, 45 for UCLA, and each have led with their offense this year.
Yeah, I mean, record aside, looking pretty identical between UCLA and UTSA, but hey, in terms of batting average, runs per game, both UCLA and UTSA scoring over 8 runs a game. So we're expecting an offensive show here at Jackie Robinson Stadium, but the home run ball possibly as well. But even pitching staff-wise, both these teams really line up. And so considering UTSA had that, many were calling an upset against Texas, the Longhorns in the Austin Regional, they're coming in to this Los Angeles Super Regional with a chip on their shoulder, but also they've got a pedigree at least this season that they're hoping to flex here against UCLA.
Both teams with a sweep in the regionals last weekend to get here. The Bruins scored 38 runs in picking up wins over Fresno State, Arizona State, and UC Irvine. Breezy wins to start the weekend against the Bulldogs and the Sun Devils. The Anteaters did make the Bruins sweat a little bit, but they never did get that tying run to the plate in the 8th and 9th innings. What stood out to you for the Bruins from last weekend?
Well, I think it was just they were able to get on the board early in all 3 of those games. Now, granted, in that last game against Irvine, look, Irvine kind of had them a little bit tense there in the middle innings. Irvine scored 5 runs in the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th there, and UCLA couldn't quite get the bats going. That was the first time this weekend where it felt like they were maybe a little bit tense at the plate. But I think in general, if they can get the bats going early today, they're going to look pretty good this weekend.
Now, it's been a recipe for success for UCLA here in the postseason. UTSA, they showed their mettle in beating the number 2 overall seed Texas twice on its home field to give UCLA this opportunity to host the Supers. Everyone in the ballpark here at Jackie Robinson Stadium last Sunday were massive Roadrunner fans. Of course, that has all changed now. What challenges are you expecting UTSA to present for the Bruins here this weekend?
Well, I mean, just look, in conversations with that side, the one thing we kept hearing is they're coming in with that same confidence, not trying to change too much here as they come in to play UCLA on their home field. But with that being said, I think the one thing that they will have to keep in mind from a pitching perspective, of course, UCLA will take advantage of walks, hit by pitches, but they will also swing early and be aggressive as they showed in that regional. So from a pitching perspective, if they can, 1, paint the zone, but 2, get ahead of these batters, this UCLA lineup, and keep things going, they'll be all right. And so if they can do that and start there, they'll be looking all right for this weekend.
To underscore how big this is for UTSA, 9 days ago, UTSA athletics as a whole had just 1 win ever at an NCAA team event. That was a men's basketball win in the first 4 more than a dozen years ago. And the best NCAA finish for any program was a 19th place showing for women's cross country. So you could argue that the baseball team knocking out Texas last weekend, reaching the Supers, is the greatest win in the history of UTSA athletics.
Which is crazy to think about, but again, it puts into perspective of what this team has been this season. I mean, again, you don't get 47 wins in a college season if you don't have some talent on this roster, this lineup, and I know we'll get into it here in a little bit, but this is a lineup with a lot of talent, and they have the talent for getting on base.
Well, let's get you the lineup for UTSA as presented by six-year head coach Pat Hallmark. The Roadrunners coming in at 47-13 on the year, and their star center fielder leads it off, Mason Lytle. You'll have five seniors here at the top of the lineup. Lytle followed by the right fielder, James Tausig. Batting third at third is Norris McClure. The first baseman hitting cleanup is Lorenzo Moresi. The DH batting fifth, Garrett Gruhl. Caden Miller bats sixth. He's the left fielder. Then it's the catcher hitting seventh, Andrew Stuckey. Ty Hodge is the shortstop hitting in the 8th spot. And rounding out the order is the second baseman, one of two freshmen in the lineup, Jordan Ballin, rounds things out for UTSA. They will go against, for the Bruins, Michael Barnett, the junior righty at 6'4", 220 pounds, 11-1 on the season. Those 11 wins, the third most in the country. He's got a 4.18 ERA. And looking to set up UCLA for success here in the Supers.
Yeah, and he came in and pitched last week against Fresno State in that regional, threw 4 1/3, and he threw 74 pitches. I think the key for him coming into this start is first pitch strikes, getting ahead of these hitters. In that Fresno start, he was 12 for 21 in that category. But in terms of stuff, what you're going to see from Barnett on the mound, fastball sinker baller, 88-91. And then he throws a slider about an equal amount, followed by a changeup that he dabbles in there. He mixes it up well, gets ahead of batters, he'll do well.
Leads the Bruins in innings pitched, 75 1/3 on the season. Also tops in strikeouts, an even 70 against just 18 walks.
Yeah, he's been good this season. And look, John Savage, head coach for the Bruins, wants to get length, but he does have the ability here. Long week, just practice, no games. He's got a fresh bullpen, but he's looking for a good start from his best starter.
And that is an important delineation from last weekend to this weekend. Now, the Bruins did play the minimum 3 games last week, but in a regional where you can play up to 5 games, this is a more traditional weekend, 3-game series max. And so UCLA, which played it perfectly with their staff last weekend, this is more conventional how you prepare throughout the season here this weekend.
Yeah, it's exactly a weekend series. Only difference is we're starting on a Saturday, but it should be a good game.
Plenty of sunshine overhead, temperatures in the 70s, a gentle breeze coming in off the ocean, blowing out towards right center. And we are ready to lift the lid on the Los Angeles Super Regional. Michael Barnett against Mason Lytle to get us going, a right-handed hitter at the dish. And Barnett's first pitch is above the belt for ball 1. Went with that fastball as we get underway at 4:08.
And we're looking at 71 degrees as well, so nice weather too.
Lytle, the do-it-all player for UTSA, hitting .369, and he sends this one high and deep to left, and it's gone. What a start for UTSA. Lytle bashes his 10th home run of the season to left field. And the Roadrunners up and roaring here at Jackie Robinson Stadium.
Welcome to LA, UTSA. I mean, just off the bat, immediately gone. I mean, Lytle, unanimous AAC Player of the Year. And that'll be home run number 10 for him on the season. Barnett left this fastball right down the middle, up at the letters, and he took it to left field over Dean West. That's a big run for UTSA here early.
UTSA, which got wins over Kansas State, back-to-back wins over Texas. They are riding that wave of confidence here into Los Angeles. And Lytle, not just the AAC Player of the Year, but also the Defensive Player of the Year. Second pitch of the ball game gives them a 1-0 lead. And now here's the ball from James Tausig. That's a soft liner into center field. First pitch swinging. He is retired, but you're already seeing a pretty aggressive approach from UTSA. As Lytle got a pitch coming inside, and it looked like he dropped that left foot. His lead foot took it out a little bit, allowed himself to open up to that pitch and belt it.
Yeah, it was inside, potentially off the plate, but he was back in the zone, crouched back, able to turn on that for a nice little dinger.
So now 1 out, nobody on as UTSA leads 1-0 in the top of the first. And here's Norris McClure. And the lefty has it snagged out of the air at third by Roman Martin. Kind of a soft liner jam shot, and Martin, who is playing well off the line against a left-handed hitter, able to snow cone that one, ranging to his right for out number 2.
Yeah, he was playing about 2/3 of the way between second and third. And that ball really not hit too hard, to your point, but full Superman extension down towards the third baseline. A big out, little momentum back on the Bruins side of the field.
UCLA with the 10th best fielding percentage in the nation at .981, showing it off there from Roman Martin. Now here is Lorenzo Moresin. He puts a bunt down, fielded by Barnett, and he throws him out at first to retire the side. But it is UTSA who has gotten on the board first. A solo shot from Mason Lytle will keep it here, and a very aggressive approach at the plate coming out from the Roadrunners.
Yeah, I mean, they were first pitch swinging. I mean, that whole inning was only 5 pitches. I mean, just to recap what happened, that home run happened on that 1-0 pitch to lead off the game. That was Mason Lytle to left field, and then fly out, pop up, ground out there.
All first pitches on those outs.
Yeah, which is just telling you they're not playing around here. They're swinging early. They want to get runs on the board early, and that's the way that they're going to have success against UCLA.
This is a UTSA team that scores almost 9 runs per game. That is 12th in the nation, and they hit well. A .317 team average is 7th in the country. So a lot of quick outs, but you get that solo home run to start, and you're feeling good here on the road.
Yeah, and it puts Michael Barnett, the best starter for the Bruins this season, already on the defensive. When he comes out for the next half inning, he's going to be thinking, look, their first pitch swinging, he might try to nibble around the zone, and it's going to be a key for him to keep attacking the zone. Certainly you don't want to leave mistakes like that home run to Lytle where he left that fastball up in the zone, middle, but I mean, UTSA, they've got him right exactly where they want him.
So let's get you that UCLA lineup with the Bruins coming to the plate momentarily. No changes. It's the same lineup they trotted out there all 3 games of the regionals last weekend. Dean West leading off in left field. Rock Chalowski, the shortstop, hitting second. Batting third at first, Mulivai Lavu. Then it's the third baseman, Roman Barton, hitting cleanup. Batting fifth in right field, A.J. Salgado. Then it's the center fielder, Peyton Brennan, hitting in the 6th spot, followed by the DH, Blake Baltz. Batting 8th and doing the catching is Cash Duggar. And rounding out the order is Phoenix Call. He plays at second base. Starting on the mound for UTSA, a junior right-hander out of Katy, Texas at 6'3", 224 pounds. Zach Royce. He is in his 2nd year in a starting role for UTSA, and he has been a workhorse for them this season. Pretty consistently has been able to give them 5 to 6 innings, and he's got some velocity as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's at that fastball 94 to 96, and you're going to see it pounding the zone today. He throws a lot of strikes, but he does get hit. But coupled with that fastball, he's got a slider and then a changeup splitter type of pitch that he puts in there. The key for him is to limit the early hits. UCLA has scored early last week in that regional, and they're going to come back here and try to be aggressive on their own accord here as they get their offense up for the first time.
Royce 9-4 on the season with a .516 ERA. 80 strikeouts over 31 walks and 89 innings of work. Teams hitting .273 against him. Bruins wearing all blue here today, the blue tops and the blue pants. UTSA with their orange tops over pinstripe gray pants. 1-0 Roadrunners as we head to the bottom half of the first inning. And Royce's first pitch to Dean West is a fastball right there on the outside corner at 95 miles an hour for strike 1. West so good in this leadoff position this year for UCLA. An on-base percentage at .471. And the left-handed hitter shoots it high in the air to right center field. Lytle over to the gap from center, settling underneath, makes the catch. And a rare out on just 2 pitches for Dean West.
I mean, every time he comes up to the plate, you expect a full count, 5-pitch, 6-pitch at bat. Trying to be aggressive there with that fastball middle in, but just got under it. Flew it out to right center.
That brings up Rock Chalowski. About as quiet as a 5-hit weekend as you can have last weekend in the regional. Had 3 batted in. did not have an extra base hit. That's why we say it was quiet as he takes a strike on the outside, 0-1. Big Ten Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. First Conference Player of the Year award for the Bruins since 1998. 0-1 fastball. That is shot high in the air to left field, but in the yard. Lytle stepping in front of the left fielder Miller, and the center fielder has another putout. Back-to-back fly ball outs induced by Royce on 4 pitches.
And just yet another at-bat there where UCLA trying to give early on that fastball, just getting under it, just missed it. Chalowski, he's got 23 home runs on the season, wanted 24 on that swing.
All fastballs so far from Royce, as he will now face Mulivai Lavu, third in the nation with his 84 batted in this year. And he takes outside. First miss from Royce. 1 ball and no strikes. Lavu hitting .321 on the year with 12 home runs. And the pitch to the left-handed hitter is shot high in the air down the right field line, hooking into foul ground, and it is just out of play, landing in that UTSA bullpen on the first base side. So the count to 1-1 now on Lavu.
Yeah, and he went back to the off-speed pitch there. It looked like a slider on that pitch. Lavu also under that, but one thing I wanted to note, an interesting shift here. The third baseman for the Roadrunners, that's McClure. He moved over to beyond the right side of second base, and now just the shortstop Hodge on the left side of the infield.
1-1, and Lavu fouls it high off the screen, a ball and 2 strikes. So yeah, the overshift on the infield. Outfield slightly to pull and very deep. In right field, Tausig is a few paces from the warning track. The pitch to Lavu, struck him out swinging, went to the slider, and what a start for Zach Royce. It's that shutdown inning after Mason Lytle had that solo home run. So after 1 here in LA, it is UTSA on the road. Up early, 1-0 Roadrunners. Start of the second inning at Jackie Robinson Stadium in Los Angeles. UTSA on top of UCLA 1-0. This is the final Super Regional to get going this weekend.
Yeah.
And plenty of action so far today. We have 1 ticket booked for the College World Series. Coastal Carolina knocking off Auburn 4-1 today. The Chanticleers are on their way to Omaha, but you've got a couple of Game 3s coming up tomorrow. Miami and Louisville, Arizona and UNC. They will have Game 3s. And UCLA and UTSA getting this series started here at 4 o'clock local time today. Game 2 tomorrow will be a noon Pacific start. Garrett Gruhl, right-handed hitter, leads it off for UTSA and fouls the first pitch slider right at the plate for strike 1. So in that first inning, between the 2 pitchers, we had a total of 13 pitches thrown. That's it.
Very aggressive, both of these offenses. But the Roadrunners, yet again, first pitch swinging. That's yet another one. Only, again, the leadoff hitter, Mason Lytle, with a 2-pitch at-bat, longest one.
0-1 to the DH, Gruhl. And another slider is inside out into right field. Salgado started back a step in and to his left, makes the catch. And there's one away. in the top of the second. Now 4 in a row retired by Barnett since Lytle's home run.
And one thing to consider, at least weather-wise, we talked about how it's pretty tame out there, 71 degrees. We do have a little bit of a breeze moving out to right center field. That ball was not hit particularly well off the bat, but it got all the way to mid to deep center, to right field rather, to A.J. Salgado.
Now here's Caden Miller, another left-handed bat for UTSA, and looks at the pitch upstairs for ball 1. Miller, true freshman out of Madisonville, Texas. Part of the AAC all-rookie team this year. Played a lot of first base this season. Now in left field as of late. Puts a ground ball to the right of second base, and it's through for a base knock. Phoenix Call was playing deep in the hole there on the right side and could not track down that slow roller. And it's a second hit for UTSA. They've got 1 on and 1 out here in the second with a 1-0 lead.
And continuing to be aggressive, UTSA's crowd also very into the game early. Now this ball was not hit that hard up the middle. Phoenix Call, to your point, playing towards the right side of the infield and went, again, full Superman dive, just missed the ball as it got to center field for a single.
Now the catcher, Andrew Stuckey. He's a Tucson native, one of the few non-Texans on the roster for UTSA. And he's had a terrific season, first team all-conference. And Barnett's first offering is that sinking fastball, catching the outside for strike 1 against the right-handed hitter. Stuckey hitting .325 this year, 6 home runs, 40 batted in. Just 2 for 11 last week in the Austin Regional. Barnett holding set. His 0-1 is down low. 1 ball and 1 strike. This will now be the longest at-bat of the game so far for UTSA when Stuckey sees this 1-1 pitch.
Really increasing that workload all the way up to a ginormous 11 pitches here. I mean, Barnett doesn't have to worry about that, but he's got to worry about getting this ground ball here with 1 out.
Middle infield, double play depth. 1-1 pitch, hit him. Got him on the lead elbow there as looked like that slider just never broke for him. And so it's first and second for UTSA with 1 out and already a 1-0 lead in their sails.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Barnett's got to mitigate here is that hit by pitch, the walks, keeping those free passes to a minimum. This UTSA offense, 5 of the 9 guys in this lineup are hitting over 300. So you give them ducks out there on the pond, they're going to hit them in. And they've got one here with a runner in scoring position at second.
Talked all season long about UCLA as a team that attracts hit by pitches. UTSA up there as well. Both these teams top 15 in the nation when it comes to getting hit at the plate. And now here's the shortstop, Ty Hodge, and the right-handed hitter takes one low and outside for ball 1. Cash Duggar, the catcher, having to slide to his right to keep it in front. Hodge hitting .291, 6 home runs, 41 batted in. Another first-team all-conference selection for UTSA. 1-0 pitch, and that is a line drive base hit to right field, short hopping into Salgado. Miller holds up at third, and now they've got a runner picked off between second and third. That's Stuckey, and they will just tag him out as holding at third was Miller. He was not going to try and advance, so a mistake there from the catcher Stuckey, taking too wide of a turnaround second and gifts UCLA an out. It's first and third now, 2 away for UTSA.
Yeah, good job by shortstop Brock Chalowski of getting both of those runners to third base, tagging one of them out. But Miller, the runner for UTSA that was in scoring position at second, was not aggressive on that turn as he got headed towards home. Salgado threw it in, so now runners on first and second with 2 outs, force out at second base.
First and third,
excuse me, yes. And, hey, just 1 more out to go.
And now they got to go through Jordan Ballin. Freshman has had a terrific year. Left-handed hitter at the plate. And the first pitch from Barnett is in there for a called strike. That changeup there on the outside. Ballin, true freshman, has the second best on-base percentage in the country at .555. He is a second leadoff man hitting in the 9 spot. Barnett holding set, now throws. And that just misses the outside at the belt, 1-1. Did not get the call there from plate umpire Derek Moika. And 1 ball and 1 strike to Ballin as UCLA tries to get out of the inning 1-0 UTSA, top of the second, first and third, 2 gone. Barnett, the right-hander, set. He kicks and throws and leaves it outside. 2 balls and a strike. Ballin works ahead. Second team all-conference this year was Jordan Ballin, hitting .347. Not a power guy. 5 doubles, his only extra base hits. And squats down real low at 5'9". 2-1 pitch. And that's at the belt on the inside. Fastball, now they're trying to steal home. The throw back, not in time. On the throw back from Cash Duggar to Barnett, Miller took off. And as Barnett got it back to Duggar, it was not in time. And here is UTSA. This is what they do. They surprise you in a multitude of ways. And it is Miller, aggressive down the line, able to steal a run.
And behind the plate, Cash Duggar, the catcher, was on his knees as he threw it back, was looking towards first base. And so with that, immediately with that throwback to the pitcher, he dove in, head first slide, and that's aggressive baseball. That's how you manufacture runs early.
2-0 UTSA. If UCLA was not awake when this game started, they surely are now. The Roadrunners have jumped all over them. 2-2 now to Ballin, and he fouls it down the left field line and out of play. A slider on the outside. And Miller was watching that the whole time. And it wasn't that UCLA wasn't paying attention, but just a bit of a soft toss back, and Miller with speed took off. Barnett saw it immediately, but there was nothing he could do. Miller was too fast. Now there's a fastball bounced up the middle. Chalowski has it. His momentum towards first, makes the throw to retire Ballin, and that'll end the inning. But UTSA adds another as Caden Miller steals home a run on 2 hits and 1 left aboard. Middle of the second, and it's the Roadrunners 2, UCLA nothing. We advance to the last of the second here at Jackie Robinson Stadium. UTSA with a 2-0 lead on UCLA. A solo home run for Mason Lytle, and then Caden Miller stealing home moments ago. And the Roadrunners have come to play here as game 1 of this series just getting going. Middle of the order here for UCLA, Roman Martin, A.J. Salgado, and Peyton Brennan against the right-hander in Zach Royce. And he starts with a fastball below the knees for ball 1 to Martin. Royce needing just 8 pitches in that first inning. And UCLA playing in trailing position for the first time in the postseason here. They scored early and often throughout last weekend's regional. Fastball on the outside corner at the knees. Martin does not like the call from plate umpire Derek Malika. And the count evens 1-1. Martin, the most outstanding player of the LA Regional last weekend. He hit a couple of home runs, including a grand slam 8 total batted in, and he swings and misses here. That ball just bottomed out. Looked like it was that split change there for Royce. That gets him in front 1-2.
Yeah, good pitch down at the zone. 88 miles per hour on the gun. So good job of changing speeds here. He's thrown every one of his pitches here in this at-bat.
6 homers now over the last 16 games for Martin, as that one is spiked in. Back to the change. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2-0 UTSA. Bruins at the plate in the home half of the second inning. Roman Martin's second team All Big Ten this year. He has reached in 16 straight games. 2-2 pitch inside. Stuckey didn't squeeze it all the way. It rolls right next to A.J. Salgado in the on-deck circle. And now the count is full. Overshift for the UTSA defense. 3 to the left of second on the infield. And Moresi alone on the right side. Payoff pitch, up and in. That breaking ball left way upstairs. Royce looks to his hand to see what happened. But it's a leadoff walk for Roman Martin and UCLA as they try to make up a 2-0 lead.
Yeah, the free passes, that's how UCLA is going to kill you on the base pass. That's walk number 37 on the season for Roman Martin. Runner on, they don't have a hit yet in this game, but they're still relatively in the heart of their order. So with no outs here, I mean, if you're on the mound for UTSA, you're Zach Royce. You want to get a ground ball here, trying to keep it going here with a left-handed hitter if you're UCLA.
It is A.J. Salgado, the lone upperclassman in the lineup. First pitch swinging, bounced over the head of Moresi down the right field line. Martin around second to third. Salgado slides into second, and now the throw went all the way to third. Martin thought about going home, but he will hold up. But UCLA now in business. They've got second and third, nobody out here in the second inning.
And that was a big play right there. I mean, at first base, Moresi, this was a chopper that he kind of gave up on because it got well over his head. It bounced about 10 feet past him. And then in right field, Tausig threw that ball to second base. And for UCLA, hey, they're in business now. 2 runners in scoring position. 1 hit makes this a 1-run ball game.
And they've got the guy who has been their hottest hitter in the postseason, including the Big Ten tournament, coming to the plate in Peyton Brennan. 2-0 UTSA, but second and third for the Bruins as the fastball is low and outside for ball 1. Brennan coming off a regional where he was 8 for 13 at the plate with 7 batted in. He has grown his batting average to .297 over the course of the season now with 6 home runs. And he bounces one to third. McClure checks the lead runner Martin and throws out Brennan, an unproductive first out of the inning.
And that's not how you get it done. It was hit off the end of the bat, and especially here, Royce, in these last 9 pitches that he's thrown in this inning, he's 4 for 9 in terms of getting into the zone. And that's where you need to be patient and not get too ahead of yourself in the batter's box. Only had no outs in the inning, but just like that, 1 out changes the complexion of the game, at least so far, for Royce on the mound.
Another left-handed batter here for UCLA, Blake Baltz, the designated hitter and reserve catcher. Cash Duggar on deck, another lefty bat. This is 4 of them in a row. As there's another fastball put low from Royce. He's trying to keep it low, but consistently here in the second inning, missing down below the knees. Easy takes here for the Bruins.
Yeah, and he's also only 1 for 3 this inning in terms of first pitch strikes. Has not been great in that department so far.
1-0 pitch. And that's a called strike there on the outside corner right at the knees. Went to the slider and got it through the back door, 1-1. Blake Baltz started all 3 games last weekend as the DH. 3 for 13 at the plate. All 3 of those hits coming in the first game against Fresno State. And now he takes a fastball upstairs. 2 balls and 1 strike. Roman Martin on third. And A.J. Salgado on second. A walk and a double to get UCLA started as they try to make up a 2-0 deficit against UTSA. The pitch is waved at and fouled down the left field line and out of play. Count evens against Baltz, 2-2.
And at least at this point so far, we're seeing a little bit more fight from the Bruins dugout and from this lineup in terms of working that pitch count, making Royce sweat a little bit here on the mound. That's how they're going to get to him.
Royce holding his left glove hand to his ear, trying to make sure he can hear the pitch comm properly. A sellout crowd here at Jackie Robinson Stadium. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Baltz. The pitch is just outside. That slider just off the plate. Full count now to Baltz with 2nd and 3rd and 1 out.
Oh, a very good pitch and good frame by Andrew Stuckey behind the plate. A slider on the outside part, and he just missed out number 2.
Payoff pitch on its way, and a fastball spiked in will load the bases. Baltz tosses the bat, tries to get the bench fired up. And the Bruins have 3 men on here as they try to come back from a 2-run deficit. It'll be the catcher, Cash Duggar, to come to the plate.
And the depth of this lineup, we've talked about it this season, Nick, is one of the huge reasons why this UCLA lineup has been great all season, especially the string of 4 lefties that we've seen John Savage put in the lineup at the bottom there has been super productive. In that regional, we talked about Peyton Brennan, but certainly, I mean, just like, look what's happening right now. I mean, this bottom of the lineup getting the bases loaded, and now a mound visit here. Roadrunners trying to figure out how they're going to pitch here to this next batter with 1 out.
At Pat Hallmark, the AAC Coach of the Year, is out. First inning for Royce, 7 strikes, just 1 ball. Now here in the 2nd inning, 6 strikes to 9 balls, including a couple of walks.
Yeah, he's not been looking as sharp this inning. At the same time, he does have a 2-run lead to work with. So that mound visit on the mound is quite literally a, hey, we just need to get this ball on the ground. We need to get a double play. Meanwhile, in the batter's box for UCLA, he's looking for something to drive.
Cash Duggar, 4 for 13 in the regional last weekend with a couple batted in. He had a hit in all 3 games. 2-0 UTSA, but bases loaded, 1 out for UCLA in the home half of the 2nd. Royce comes set, and the first pitch to Duggar is low towards the outside for ball 1. Went to the slider to begin the at-bat. Duggar hitting .375 this season with the bases loaded. The pitch, fastball, right back up the middle, fielded by Hodge. He steps on second for 1, on to first in time for the double play, and UTSA gets out of the jam. They had the shortstop Hodge shaded up the middle. He was in perfect position, and Royce gets out of trouble, and UCLA leaves them loaded in the 2nd. On to the 3rd. It's UTSA 2, UCLA nothing. Start of the 3rd inning in Los Angeles. UTSA leading UCLA 2-0. A run in each of the first 2 frames for the Roadrunners, which just got out of a bases-loaded 1-out jam. Cash Duggar grounding into a 6 unassisted onto 3 double play. UCLA in trailing position. That is something they've been accustomed to this year, though. 20 of their 45 wins have been in come-from-behind fashion. Top of the order now, Mason Lytle chops one deep at third. Martin rifles the throw and keeping his foot on the bag for the out. Mulavai Lavu and Lytle, who had the solo homer on the second pitch of the ballgame in the first inning, is down on one pitch here in the third. As Roman Martin showed off the arm right there.
Yeah, I mean, he went all the way to the corner of the infield, all the way by the chalk in the corner by third base umpire Travis Carlson, and rifled that throw over. Good job by Mulavai Lavu at first of sticking with this and not letting that runner coming up the line deter him from getting that ball.
So the run of aggressive hitting continues for UTSA. Here's Tausig, the big left-handed hitter, and he swings and misses on a back foot slider from Barnett. Not even close over the top of that one, 0-1.
Yeah, that looked like a frisbee there on that pitch. Good job by Barnett to get under his hands.
Tausig, a fly out to center field, 0 for 1. He's got pop in the bat, 10 home runs, and 65 batted in. And now the slider grounded on 2 hops to second for Phoenix Call, and he throws him out in plenty of time. 2 quick ground ball outs for the sinker baller, Michael Barnett.
Yeah, he's looking good this inning. I mean, just look, another breaking ball that he went to 2 in a row. Able to get that ball straight to Phoenix Call for out number 2. Only at 23 pitches so far in the game, so he's looking good in that department. Wants to get out of this inning here unscathed.
UTSA 2-0 their lead here in Los Angeles. Case is clear, 2 gone, top of the third. And here is Norris McClure, left-handed bat. And he looks at a fastball at the knees for strike 1. McClure, a senior who grad transferred from the Division II level. He was playing at Spring Hill College in Mobile, Alabama. 4 years there, and he has certainly taken his talents here to the next level as he hits one up the middle and through past a diving Chalowski, who is shaded up the middle, but McClure beats it. He's now 1 for 2 thanks to a 2-out single.
Yeah, McClure, good swing up the middle, and Chalowski might have just overdove on this ball. It kind of went under his chest as he slid over the grass there in shallow center field, and he's staying out there behind second base for this next batter, and that shift will continue. We've been seeing a lot of it from UCLA this season.
Base runner in each inning for UTSA. Runner on first, 2 outs for Lorenzo Moresi. And that pitch is inside, ball 1. Throw back to first, not in time. Close play, though, as McClure took an aggressive secondary lead and just got his hand back to the bag. Ball 1 at the plate to Moresi, switch hitter from the left side. Originally from Italy. 1 ball, no strikes, and a pickoff throw back in plenty of time is McClure, who's got 9 stolen bags on the year. Moresi out of Macerata, Italy. About 19 miles inland off the Adriatic Sea. And looks at the slider outside, 2 balls and no strikes. His parents are up in the middle of the night watching these games. So they're 9 hours ahead, so quick math, it's about 1:45 in the morning.
Talk about super fans.
2-0 pitch. That finds the outside. Barnett goes to that changeup and finds the zone, 2-1. Tries to post a 0 for the first time. Roadrunners in front, 2-0, top of the third. Another throw to first, and again back safely with his right hand is McClure. Not quite an overshift from UCLA, but close. Chalowski back and just to the left of second. Phoenix Call several feet into shallow right field. And Lavu holding on the runner. Barnett holding set, and another pickoff throw. McClure back safely. He's got it measured out well.
Yeah, I mean, he's got good speed, 9 stolen bases on the year. That time, though, quick little jab of that shoulder, possibly thinking of stealing on that pitch. He does have 2 outs and a 2-1 count.
Moresi still waiting. Now here's the pitch home, and he grounds it to the right side. Call's got it in shallow right field, throws him out at first, and that'll end the inning. 1 hit and 1 left for UTSA. They are kept off the board for the first time today. Middle of the third in Los Angeles. It's the Roadrunners 2, the Bruins, nothing.
The NCAA thanks to official equipment and players, Rawlings, Smitty Officials Apparel, and Spec Seats for their support of NCAA championships. Their contributions help enhance the educational and athletic experiences of nearly 500,000 NCAA student athletes. All right, fans, let's see who's here today in the crowd. Let me hear my UCLA fans. And what about my UTSA fans? Let's try this one more time. Let me hear my UCLA fans. And one more time, where are my UTSA fans?
UCLA and UTSA here are the Super Regionals this weekend at Jackie Robinson Stadium. A 2-0 lead for the Roadrunners as the Bruins will come to the plate momentarily here in the last of the third. 26th NCAA tournament appearance for UCLA, and in the Supers for the 7th time in program history. First time since 2019 when they were the #1 overall seed. Meanwhile, UTSA just their 4th appearance in the NCAA tournament, first since 2013. They never had a win in an NCAA tournament prior to this season. 3-0 last weekend in Austin against the #2 seed, and up early here against the #15 seed. Phoenix Call leads off the inning for UCLA, 9-1-2 against Joyce. And there's that fastball right at the knees for strike one, in at 94 miles an hour. Phoenix Call coming off a solid regional where he went 5 for 12. Trying to jumpstart the lineup with Dean West and Rock Chalowski due to follow. And there's a one-hopper right at shortstop. And up with it, Hodge throws him out. And Phoenix Call is retired on 2 pitches.
And I mean, he hit that ball hard off the bat, a breaking ball, but just right at the shortstop, Hodge. And just like that, let's take a look at how he's done through this first time through the lineup. 28 pitches, 17 strikes, and about half of those at-bats he's gotten first pitch strikes. UCLA hasn't been able to take advantage of it just yet, but they have been putting up better at-bats here in the later going.
Just 1 hit, 2 walks drawn, but no strikeouts. And now here's Dean West. And he takes a fastball over the plate. Strike one. Now West with a fly out to right center field. 3 for 7 in the regional last weekend. 3 games, only 7 at-bats. As he looks at a slider outside. Yeah, he got hit by a pitch 7 times last weekend.
So he might have been a little bit sore.
A little bit. And it was all over the place as well. He drew 2 walks also. He was an on-base machine. And trying to get himself aboard with 1 out here in the third. 1-1 pitch is skied high in the air down the left field line. Miller on the run, converging, and it falls. Hodge, the shortstop, over there as well. He was the one who actually made a late break to try and glove it, and he overran the ball, and Dean West is aboard on the ultimate Texas League single.
You got that right. I mean, look, it was just a dinker shot to the left side behind third base, but well into left field. And over there on the left side, you had Miller, the left fielder, and Hodge, the shortstop, trying to converge to get this, but just out of the reach of a lunging Hodge. And Dean West took a big turn at first to consider going to second, but he's at first now with 1 out.
Outfield was playing off the line as well, so Miller had a long way to go. 1 on, 1 out now for Chalowski, and he takes a fastball down low. Chalowski 0 for 1, flying out to center field, and his first at-bat. First Bruin to win a Conference Player of the Year award since Troy Gloss and Eric Valent went back-to-back in 97 and 98. And now he looks at Royce with a pickoff throw to West, who is back safely. Dean West with 12 stolen bags on the year. And now the pitch home, and it's an inside fastball for a strike. 1-1 to Chalowski. Chalowski, not one of the 3 finalists for the Golden Spikes Award, but he is one of 4 finalists for the Dick Hauser Trophy. And he fouls that one straight back and out of play, 1-2. So I wonder if he was just on the outside of those top 3 for the Golden Spikes, because he's alongside those same 3 guys for the Dick Hauser Trophy, which also goes to the top player in the nation. Wahiwa Aloy at Arkansas, Liam Doyle at Tennessee, and Alex Lodice at Florida State. Another pickoff throw to check on West, who is back with a head-first dive. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Chalowski. 23 home runs on the year, 5th in the nation. Long hold here from Royce, now comes home on the fastball, driven into the right center field gap, and that will fall. West around second, headed for third. Chalowski holds on the brakes at first. And UCLA with runners on the corners and 1 out. Chalowski now 1 for 2.
And now UCLA getting the bats going. That's the Rock Chalowski vintage hard hit ball to the opposite side. And the center fielder, Mason Lytle, for the Roadrunners, was playing pretty deep to straightaway center field. This ball got down in right center. Dean West able to get to third. Rock Chalowski at first now, so still a chance here for Royce to get the double play. And now you see Hodge, the shortstop, playing close to second to cover for the steal with the lefty hitter up.
That was a pitch below the knees off the outside, and Chalowski went and got it. Now Lavu takes a belt-tie fastball for a strike on the inside. Lavu struck out against Royce, the only strikeout for the right-hander so far. Leading RBI man in the Big Ten. And a swing and a miss here. That pitch, a changeup on the outside, and Lavu down 0-2.
That was a beautifully thrown pitch, and he's got a splitter over the top release from Zach Royce on the mound. So that splitter's got just 12-6 movement. Perfectly placed.
2-0 UTSA in the third, and a pickoff throw to check on Chalowski at first, and he's got that right hand back on the base.
Now Chalowski at first. He's got 7 stolen bases on the year. Not necessarily a threat to run, but hey, 1 out, 2 strikes, and he's just trying to stay in Royce's head to perhaps give a mistake for Lavu to take advantage of.
On the corners with 1 out, and the 0-2. Lavu hammers it foul. A liner right into the boundary in front of the UTSA dugout on the first base side.
And if they weren't awake now, they are. After that, laser right at the dugout.
Left-handed hitter at the plate. Lavu drove in 10 runs in the regional last weekend. And he lines this one just foul. Just wide of the first base bag there, but that is back-to-back pitches. Down 0-2, that Lavu has been all over.
Yeah, I mean, that ball was probably maybe a 1.5 feet foul, and first base umpire Eric Gaucher had to do a little jiu-jitsu move to get out of the way. But a very close pitch and maybe a gift for Zach Royce. 1 more for him to get Lavu out.
Still 0-2. This will be the 5th pitch of the at-bat. And he throws, and Lavu takes high. 1-2.
One thing to consider is that for John Savage, Mulivai Lavu, with runners in scoring position this year, he's hitting over 390. So this is the guy that you want at the plate if you're the Bruins here early on in this game.
Got 394 to be exact, with Roman Martin on deck as well. And there's a liner down the right field line, a fair ball all the way to the corner. West scores. Chalowski approaching third. He gets the stop sign there. And Mulivai Lavu, the UCLA leading RBI man, does it again. The Bruins are on the board. It's 2-1 here in the third inning.
And his amazing season continues, Nick. RBI number 85. And that was a great at-bat. 6 pitches, 1 and 2 count. Finally got a fastball on the inside part of the plate, and we know Mulivai Lavu loves that pitch. And he just hooked it over Moresi, the first baseman, down the right field line. Chalowski able to get to third base. And hey, 1 more opportunity. 2 runners in scoring position on that Mulivai Lavu on that double.
3 consecutive hits for UCLA. Second and third, still just the 1 out. Now here's Roman Martin. And the first pitch in there for a strike. That slider just catching the top outside corner. Martin does not like it. It's strike one.
Crowd didn't like it either. Derek Mojica, the home plate umpire, making that strike call on an 86-mile-an-hour slider.
Martin a walk earlier, and there's a hard hit grounder to third, knocked down by McClure. He's up with it. His only play is to first. Chalowski dives on home to score, and we've got a brand new ball game here in the third inning.
And Roman Martin keeps it going. Hey, not a hit, but hey, you get the RBI. Just put it on the ground, and with one out, Chalowski at third base, he's going to be moving on contact if that ball's on the ground, and that's exactly what happened. McClure able to just kind of keep that ball in front of him, gets the easy out at first base.
RBI ground out for Martin. Lavu stays stationed on second, and now here's Salgado. Now 2-2 here in the home half of the third inning. And the pitch is a slider for a strike on the outside. Salgado a double in the second inning. Each team with 2 runs on 4 hits to this point. Salgado fouls it off. Now 0-2. Fastball coming in at 93 there from Royce. Once ahead, gets in front of the batter. No balls and 2 strikes.
And this inning has turned stressful here for Zach Royce on the mound. This will be his 20th pitch coming up in this inning.
Lavu in scoring position on second for Salgado. And the 0-2 is a breaking ball lifted to shallow left center field. Hodge, the shortstop, back, makes the over-the-shoulder catch to retire the side. But UCLA has knotted things up once again. 2 runs on 3 hits with 1 left aboard. And after 3 here in the Los Angeles Super Regional, it's UCLA 2, UTSA 2. We head to the middle innings here in Los Angeles. UCLA and UTSA at 2 runs apiece. This is the only ball game going on in college baseball. 6 finals already today. Miami and Arizona winners earlier. They force game 3s tomorrow. Coastal takes down Auburn to advance to the College World Series. And then Duke, LSU, and Arkansas also winners to open their respective series. Still to come tonight, Oregon State and Florida State in game 2. You see the Beavers come back down to their final strike and able to ultimately win in extras and take game 1. So that is the nightcap here on this Saturday. Gruel, Miller, and Stuckey now for UTSA in the 4th against Barnett. And the righty's first pitch is in there for a strike. Lobs that fastball in. And so it is 0-1 to Gruel, who is 0 for 1. With a fly out to left field. Defense straight up here for UCLA. And Barnett into a short windup. Misses down and away with the fastball. 1-1. Each team with 2 runs on 4 hits. UTSA has left 2 aboard. UCLA 3. 1-1 pitch is in there over the inner half, a called strike 2. That fastball running in and catching the plate just a bit there against the right-handed hitter. 1-2 to Gruel. The pitch is short hop to third. Martin's got it cleanly, shuffles to his left, and the throw in time for the out. Gruel now 0 for 2. And Barnett here, as he works through this lineup a second time, getting more of those ground balls out of the Roadrunners.
Yeah, he's been looking good this second time through. That's 4 ground outs. Out of those 6 batters, 5 batters he's faced so far the second time through, and doing a better job of mixing in that changeup here. Usually relies on that fastball and that slider, but in that last at-bat, 2 changeups, 2 fastballs, got that first out.
So here brings up Caden Miller, and the left-handed hitter takes down low for ball 1. Change up there from Barnett. Miller, a single and a run scored, stole home back in the second inning. The pitch. Check swing, bouncer up the third base side. Martin's got it, throw to first in time. And it's back-to-back ground outs to third to begin this 4th inning for UTSA in a tie ball game.
Yeah, all 6 batters he's faced, 6 ground outs the second time through the order. And once again, going back to that changeup, 2 straight changeups there. And this time a nice little check swing, and Roman Martin showing the arm and that excellent defense at third base for the Bruins.
Barnett has retired 6 of the last 7 he has faced now. And that'll bring up the catcher, Stuckey. First pitch is off the outside with a fastball. 1 ball and no strikes. Andrew Stuckey, spelt like Stuckey, but pronounced Stuckey. Out of Canyon Del Oro High School out in the Tucson area. And looks at a pitch down and away, easy take, 2-0. Went the JUCO route at first, played at Pima Community College, and he was the top JUCO player in the state of Arizona a couple of years ago. Parlayed that into his D1 opportunity with UTSA. 2-0. And that's lobbed in there for a strike. Little slider there from Barnett at the knees, 2-1.
Good job keeping it down at the knees. Started out at the hips, went back down to the knees. That's how you do it.
Now the 2-1. Swing and a miss. Brought that one on the inside. And fooled Stuckey there. That was in on the handle of the bat, and he was over top of it as he swung through.
Yeah, it looked like a changeup that ended up on the inside part of the plate, and it looked like behind the dish, Cash Duggar might have been set up on the outside, but hey, he got the swing and a miss he needed, and now 2 strikes.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Barnett trying to get a 1-2-3 inning for the first time today. And the slider laid off as it falls off the outside, and a full count now. No walks yet for Barnett, though he did hit Stuckey in their first meeting in the second inning. First 3-ball count all day for the right-hander. Infield shaded to the pull side against the right-handed hitter. And the 3-2 is foul out in front and well out of play down the left field line.
That was hit pretty well down the left side. To your point about this being the first 3-2 count, also the first 7-pitch at-bat of the game. So a little bit of extra sweat and effort going into this at-bat for Michael Barnett on the mound.
2-2 ball game with the bases clear and 2 outs in the 4th. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Barnett kicks and deals, and another foul ball out in front, pulled to the third base side. That one was a little bit more elevated, but Stuckey well out in front of it.
Yeah, and if you're Barnett on the mound, that's 2 in a row where he's been out in front. I would go to it one more time, get him on something on the outside part of the plate, have him swing early.
Barnett on the first base side of the rubber as he goes into his motion. The 3-2 slider is lined down the left field line. A fair ball falling in front of Dean West. And Stuckey, after plunking 2 foul, he gets another slider on the inside. This time keeps it fair for a 2-out single.
Yeah, and that was 6 off-speed pitches in a row, but unfortunately for Barnett, on that last pitch, it was a slider that he left a little bit in the middle of the zone, and that was enough there for Stuckey to pull that out to left field. Outfield's playing deep and continues to play deep here throughout this game, but that's hit number 5 for the Roadrunners.
It comes with 2 outs in the top of the 4th and allows Ty Hodge to hit. Shortstop with a single to right field in the second inning. And he takes the fastball outside for ball 1. Hodge, a redshirt junior, grew up in College Station and did go to Texas A&M initially out of college. Spent his freshman year there, a couple of years at Houston Christian, and now in his first year with UTSA. 1-0 pitch to him is a fastball right over the plate for a called strike. Down around the knees, 1-1.
Yeah, and look, if you're Barnett on the mound again, 2 outs, and the infield swung around to the left, so they're trying to get him to pull something on the ground. So likely to see possibly some more off-speed pitches here with a 1-1 count.
Barnett's pitch outside, 2-1. Another fastball, and that was well off the plate. An easy take for Hodge. 2 balls and 1 strike. And to your point, Phoenix call just off to the right of second base, and with Lavu holding on Stuckey, all kinds of real estate on the right side of the infield. 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Barnett pulls out the changeup down around the knees on the outside part of the plate to get the count to 2-2.
Perfectly placed, and now with 2 strikes, 2's all around actually. 2-2, 2 outs. He can focus on this hitter here. That runner at first, Stuckey, not a threat to run.
Here's the pitch, and it's a grounder to the right of the mound. Call's got it. He'll take it to second himself to force out Stuckey, and that'll end the inning. 1-out single, all that was doing for UTSA there in the 4th. It's a 2-2 ball game with the Bruins coming to the plate when we return.
All right, fans, it's time for everyone's favorite, the amazing concession rates. Our 4 concessions: Sound Soda, Peter Popcorn, Paula Pretzel, and Harry the Hot Dog. Are going to race to see which concession is the fastest. Our winning contestant is going home with an NCAA t-shirt. Make sure to cheer on your favorite concession. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Let's race. Here we go. Harry the Hot Dog with an early lead. Harry gets to the foul pole. Now you got to race to third base. Harry with an early start. Can he beat his competition? Harry the Hot Dog, a runaway victory. Congratulations. You're the winner of the amazing concession race. Thanks for playing along. You're going home with an NCAA t-shirt.
UCLA and UTSA at 2 runs apiece, and the Bruins will hit here in the last of the 4th. Coming up momentarily, Game 1 of the Los Angeles Super Regional, and a spot in Omaha on the line this weekend. Game 2 tomorrow at noon, and if necessary, Game 3 would be on Monday at a time to be determined. UTSA scoring a run in each of the first 2 frames. Bruins answered back with 2 runs in the 3rd, and now they have Brennan, Baltz, and Duggar due up in the 4th. And the first pitch from Zach Royce, a little over the top, that split change it looks like for strike 1, right at the top of the zone for strike 1. Brennan and the Bruin fans did not like that call. Brennan a ground out to 3rd so far today, and the fastball is bounced up the middle and through to the left of second, and away from the shortstop Hodge. Peyton Brennan is aboard to lead off the 4th inning.
Yeah, and a nice little single up the middle, hit that hard on a fastball. That was pitch number 48 for Royce on the game, and kind of taking a look at what he's been throwing. He's actually been equal splits between fastballs and sliders. In fact, a couple more sliders than fastballs throughout the game so far. So we'll see how that changes here as he gets through this part of the lineup, which was pretty difficult against him last time around.
Oh, Peyton Brennan in the postseason, which includes the Big Ten tournament, is now 15 for 28 at the plate. Now Blake Baltz checks his swing. on a pitch diving low, and he did not hold up. The split change there from Royce, and at third, Travis Carlson rules him to have gone around. It's 0-1. Baltz worked a walk in the second inning that loaded the bases before Duggar grounded into the double play. Now bunt shown, and that's a strike at the top of the zone. So consistently from Derek Malika, that high strike has been called so far today.
Yeah, he's been giving that call, but one thing to note there, on that pullback of a attempted bunt, McClure, the third baseman, and Moresi, the first baseman, both charged on that fake.
Now the 0-2, and that's diving down and in for ball one. Another off-speed pitch from Royce, who has gone away from that mid-90s fastball. Baltz, sophomore, out of Rancho Santa Margarita and Santa Margarita High School. And that one just inside. Fastball at the letters. And it's ball two. 2-2 as Royce did not get the call.
Very, very close on the inside part, and that was a fastball actually on that pitch, but just the second one he's thrown out of the 6 in this inning so far.
One on, nobody out, and Brennan dives back to first on the pickoff move from Royce.
And Brennan at first base is a threat to run. He's got 10 stolen bases, so he's got good speed, but a 2-2 count here. We'll see if he's on the move.
2-2 ball game with the Bruins hitting here in the 4th inning. No pitch. Boy, that did not miss by much. Little below the knees there as Stuckey tried to frame the fastball. It's now full count after it was 0-2.
That was 94 at the knees and a pretty dramatic frame behind the plate by Stuckey, but just didn't get that call for strike 3.
Perhaps that's what cost him, as there's another pickoff throw that has Brennan back safely.
Yeah, it's as much of an act as it is behind the plate of you got to allow that pitch to be close, but you can't go too far out. Otherwise, the home plate umpire is going to be like, come on, man.
Can't be like, kids in Little League where they, it'll be 6 inches off the plate and they'll bring it back into the middle. So 3-2, swung on and missed. High fastball on the outside, and Baltz couldn't keep up with it. First out here in the 4th inning on the second strikeout for Zach Royce.
Yeah, and that at-bat started off with, 6 pitches, 3 off speed, and he just went back to that fastball 3 in a row to get him out. And at least the second time through the order, to your earlier point, he has been going more to that changeup and to that breaking ball. But hey, goes back to the fastball that was working earlier on in the game.
1 on, 1 out now for Cash Duggar. And UCLA's catcher looks at ball 1, missing down and away. Back to that split change for Royce. Duggar grounding into that double play with the bases loaded in the second. Not for that, perhaps the Bruins would be up right now, as that pitch is down and in towards Duggar's back foot, blocked well by Stuckey, sliding to his right. 2 balls and no strikes now to Duggar.
And a little quick break here behind the mound for Royce, but to your point, Stuckey behind the plate, that prevents a pass ball and a runner in scoring position.
2-0 pitch. Fastball outside, and Duggar ahead, 3-0.
And a pretty good pitch, 93 miles per hour on the outside part of the plate, but definitely a ball. But hey, if you're Royce on the mound, 3-0, just got to get back in the zone.
2-2 ball game here in the 4th, and the fastball catches the inside. 3-1 now. Duggar taken all the way. Infield shaded to pull against the left-handed hitter. Hodge, the shortstop, just behind and to the left of the bag there at second. 3-1, and the fastball fouled off to the left side. Came down and in, and now the count is full.
And this is the second batter in a row where it's a 6-pitch at bat. So very much from a pitch count perspective, Royce now at 59 pitches. This will be 60 coming up. And UTSA wants to get length out of their starter. They don't have a ton of depth in that bullpen, so we'll see what happens.
Another 3-2, there goes Brennan, and it's a slow chopper on the left side, and nobody picks it up. It's rolling, and it'll stay fair on the third base side. Duggar is aboard on the swinging bunt.
And hey, you'll take a single any way you can get it, really. I mean, look, he's got good speed out of the box and was immediately on the move, but Stuckey, the catcher, and the pitcher there, Royce, converged to this ball, and as it kind of spun off the grass towards the chalk, Stuckey sort of was waiting for that one to hopefully run foul, but no dice.
It looked like Royce was going to pick it up, and then I think Stuckey told him to let it go in hopes that it would carry foul. It did not. It got to within a few inches of the chalk. So 2 on and 1 out now for Call, and there's a first pitch line drive off the end of the bat. It's falling and down. Brennan had to hold up between second and third, advances himself, and the Bruins have loaded the bases for the second time today. Phoenix Call now 1 for 2, and now the top of the lineup coming to the plate in a 2-2 ball game.
Yeah, that was off the end of the bat, and again, yet another ball not hit particularly well, but the outfield, that was Mason Lytle in center field, was playing deep. This ball just falling into shallow center field. So now bases loaded, 1 out. Now a quick mound visit from Pat Hallmark, head coach for the Roadrunners, also handles pitching visits for the team, and they're just going through strategy right now. They need a ground ball to get out of the inning. 1 out. And so we'll see how the outfield plays in this scenario. Obviously, they want to prevent, a double from getting to the wall, so we'll likely see them play deep. But from an infield perspective, they're looking to get that double play or really any force out they can.
They got it last time. That was off the bat of Cash Duggar. It was a ground ball up the middle, and Hodge, the shortstop, was in perfect position to take it and get that twin killing for UTSA. By the way, no activity in the bullpen for the Roadrunners, and that's not a surprise. Royce is a guy that they will expect to go 5, if not 6 innings, and given the way their offense has performed this season, scoring almost 9 runs per game, they're fine if he gives up 5 or 6 runs. They trust their offense to be able to make that up and then some. As UCLA has Dean West at the plate here. Brennan on third, Duggar on second, and Call on first with 1 out and a 2-2 ball game in the 4th. First pitch in there for a strike, a slider over the outer half. West with a fly out to center, and then a bloop single down the left field line, last time up in the 3rd. A 1 pitch, and West hits it in the air to left field, holding up for Miller. He's settling back, makes the catch. Brennan tagging from 3rd, he will score easily, and Dean West executes the sac fly, and UCLA leads for the first time today, now 3-2.
And hey, maybe this is a little bit uncommon for UCLA to be behind, at least in the postseason, but during the regular season, we saw it all the time where they would fall behind early in a game and they'd claw their way back. This offense, again, 8 runs a game, so they're capable of it. So just like that, 3 unanswered runs back up top here, 3-2.
And still in a position to add to it with Rock Chalowski coming to the plate. Singled the other way, last time up in the 3rd, and now there's a throw back to second to check on Duggar, who dives back, getting his right hand to that bag. Duggar now the lead runner after Brennan scored. Call on first. 2 on, 2 out, last of the 4th, and the Bruins now in front, 3-2. First pitch to Chalowski is a fastball driven high in the air to left field. Miller back at the track and makes the catch. He got a little topsy-turvy with his footing there, went down to a knee, but caught it right around his chest, and a loud fly out there for Chalowski to end the inning. But UCLA leads for the first time, a run on 3 hits and 2 left aboard. After 4 in Los Angeles, UCLA leading UTSA 3-2.
Jordan Pollen.
UCLA and UTSA. And we head to the 5th inning in Los Angeles. Bruins leading 3-2. Just saw a statistic that the winner of Game 1 in the Supers goes on to win the series 79% of the time. And the Bruins with a 1-run lead. And Jordan Ballin takes ball 1 outside from Michael Barnett, who has thrown just 49 pitches so far. Comes back with a fastball that runs over the inner half against a left-handed hitter for a called strike, 1-1. As this UTSA offense has been aggressive throughout. Ballin hitting in the 9 spot, then it's Lytle and Tausig due to follow. And the changeup falls down low, 2-1. Ballin grounded out to short back in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1. I'll remind you, Ballin has the 2nd best on-base percentage in the country. Fouls this one down the left field line and out of play, and the count's at 2-2.
And that's what's interesting, that he's in that 9 hole for them, so like a reverse leadoff hitter to sort of catapult them back to the top of the order.
And he's kept that mark despite being hitless in his last 12 at-bats now. He's banged up a little bit. He hasn't had a hit since May 9th, but he has reached in 12 straight. And looks at that slider missing outside. Barnett looking for the call, but could not get the corner. Full count now to Ballin.
Maybe that pitch slightly up in the zone, and Derek Moyuka not given the call this time on that high outside pitch to Michael Barnett.
Payoff pitch to Ballin. And it's fouled straight back into the screen. That was up around the letters, maybe a little bit beyond the letters, but Ballin not taking any chances. Small strike zone against this guy who stands at 5'9" and really bends his knees in the box.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a batting average of 350 and a last name Ballin. I mean, it's just easy pickings to say he's been balling this season.
Another 3-2 from Barnett, and it's a high chopper to second, charged by Call. Gloves it at his chest, throw on the run in time, and Ballin is retired. Now 0 for 2 today, 1 away as he leads off the top of the 5th.
Good play by Phoenix Call at second base for the Bruins. This was a chopper that went probably 20 feet into the air, and as it bounced on the grass, it loses a lot of that trajectory, but a good job by Call of getting quickly to that ball, throwing it to first base to Mulibai-Lavu. Firm throw for the out.
So now here is Mason Lytle for a 3rd time. He has seen just 3 pitches from Barnett. He'll take this one. That just misses off the outside. That changeup for ball 1. Lytle, a solo homer in the 1st and grounded out to 3rd on 1 pitch in the 3rd. And there's another off speed over the plate for a called strike. 1-1. Back to the changeup for Barnett. Lytle, like Chalowski, not just the conference player of the year in the American, but the conference's defensive player of the year as well. Waiting on a 1-1 from Barnett. The righty deals, and there's a fastball smacked high in the air to right field. Salgado settling underneath it to his left, making the catch for the 2nd out here in the 5th. First 2 retired by Barnett, and a 3-2 lead for the Bruins.
Yeah, now that first at-bat was a 7-pitch at-bat, but this one, a nice little 3-pitch flyout. A lollipop to right field. A.J. Salgado able to camp under this one, and that's what UCLA wants. Look, you took the lead, got that 1 spot there in the bottom of the 4th. Want to get back in, scoreless inning against UTSA, and try and get some more in the next half.
Brings up James Tausig, big left-handed hitter at 6'6". And he looks at a fastball low and outside for ball 1. So since UTSA last scored in the 2nd inning, this is now 3 consecutive frames where Barnett has retired the first 2 batters. That one below the knees again. 2 balls and no strikes. Another fastball. As Tausig is 0 for 2 with a flyout and a ground out. Defense swung to the pull side against the lefty, both on the infield and in the outfield. 2-0. That's at the belt for a strike. Another fastball from Barnett.
Yeah, I mean, that pitch looked like Cash Duggar, the catcher, was actually set on the outside part of the plate, but maybe a gimme from that last pitch, which was also pretty close, but got the strike on that one nonetheless.
2 balls, 1 strike to Tausig. And the pitch is yanked on the ground to the right side. Phoenix Call has it in the hole, and the second baseman throws him out at first. And UTSA is retired in order for the first time this afternoon. Midway through regulation, UCLA leads UTSA 3-2. UCLA leading UTSA 3-2. We go to the last of the 5th inning, and this game is settled in now. Bruins have scored 3 unanswered runs, including 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th to take a lead after UTSA led 2-0 early. It'll be the middle of the order here for UCLA. Lavu, Martin, and Salgado. And the first pitch from Zach Royce is yanked foul on the ground by Lavu. Defense shifting to pull against a left-handed hitter once more. 3 to the right of second on the infield. And the outfield also tilted to the right side as well. Lavu, an RBI double, got UCLA on the board in the 3rd inning. Gets underneath this pitch. High in the air to right center field. Lytle coming in from center into the gap, makes the catch. Lavu now 1 for 3 with 1 gone here in the 5th.
And overall, so far in this game, Royce has been pretty much as advertised. He's been around the zone. He's been about 2/3 of his pitches for strikes, but he has been hit a little bit. He has given up 7 hits in 4 1/3. Those 3 runs we talked about earlier. And so they're just, again, trying to get length out of him here. 65 pitches here in the bottom of the 5th.
They mentioned Royce has been hit this year. He's given up 15 home runs. As he starts Roman Martin with a strike on the inside. Went to the breaking ball. Royce last week against Kansas State to open the Austin Regional allowed just 1 run on 3 hits in 5 1/3. Had 5 strikeouts in that one. Very effective to start the postseason. Now there's a fastball line to right field, base hit for Roman Martin. He is now 1 for 2. And the defense was playing him to pull, and he went the other way. Nobody there on the right side to handle that one. If Ballin was playing at normal second base depth, he might have been able to do something about it, but he was on the other side of the second base bag.
Yeah, and I mean, that ball, even otherwise, was hit hard off the bat the other way on that fastball. You know a hitter's hot when he's able to hit that ball the other way with authority. Roman Martin's doing exactly that.
Productive day for Martin. A walk, an RBI ground out, and that single. And there's Salgado bouncing one over Moresi again. And Martin goes to 3rd. Salgado will have to settle for a single, but eerily reminiscent to the play back in the 2nd inning. Martin had that leadoff walk, and Salgado hit the high chopper over the first baseman. He does it again here. Bruins have runners on the corners with one out.
Yeah, just exactly as you mentioned, a rehash of what happened earlier on in the game in the second. And so runners on first and third now for UCLA, this time with one out. Salgado at first with great speed. At third base, Roman Martin, he's going to be moving on a ball on the ground. But the Roadrunners do have a double play set up here with one out.
Peyton Brennan at the plate, and he swings and fouls it. Nearly gloved by the catcher Stuckey, but it's 0-1 to Brennan, who singled last time up in the fourth inning. 3-2 UCLA, last of the fifth. Royce comes home, swing and a miss. That split change bottoming out. And Royce ahead against Brennan, 0-2.
And basically the same pitch he threw, location-wise at least, started at the knees, ended up in the dirt. Royce is looking pretty good here, but he's got to do one more to at least get an out or induce a ground ball.
0-2 pitch. And it's in the dirt for a ball, and Salgado takes off for second. He is in there without a throw. Took Stuckey a second to corral that ball in his glove. Another split change in the dirt there from Royce, 1-2. And now a pair in scoring position for Brennan.
Yeah, and that was a big 90 feet. Good heads-up base running by Salgado, seeing that Stuckey couldn't quite get to that one. Now a hit drives in two.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Brennan strikes out. It's in the dirt with first base open. Got to be tagged, and Stuckey does tag him as he runs out of the box. It's a third strikeout for Royce, and a big one at that. That split change had Brennan off balance that entire at bat.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was all off speed. Slider, changeup, and then back to the slider with that 1-2 count. Peyton Brennan kind of looking uncomfortable in that pitch, likely sitting fastball.
So UCLA, that was the third time they've had a runner on third with less than 2 outs. They've only been able to execute that for a run once. That was that Dean West sac fly. They need a hit out of Blake Baltz. And he takes the pitch off the outside and low for ball 1. Another split change from Royce.
And to your point about runners in scoring position, though, I mean, UCLA's had 8 in this game. They're 2 for 8. Meanwhile, the Roadrunners have only had 1 runner in scoring position.
That one bounced in front of the plate, but blocked by Stuckey, holding Martin at third. And Baltz ahead 2-0 on another breaking ball from Royce. Meanwhile, there is activity in the bullpen for UTSA. They've got a right-hander in Connor Kelly getting loose. Second and third, 2 outs, and a 1-run lead for UCLA as Baltz swings and misses. Slider there from Royce. Running down and in, 2 balls and a strike.
And something to note, he actually has not thrown a fastball in 8 pitches. Exclusively sitting off speed here.
2-1. Now that's way high and outside. 3 balls and a strike, and there's a fastball that wasn't anywhere close.
Yeah, just right on cue. I mean, look, if he's feeling that slider with the 3-1 count, it wouldn't be surprising with a runner on to go back to that slider, especially because Baltz swung and missed at one earlier in the AB.
3-1, and there it is, but it's down low for ball 4. Baltz is aboard for the second time. 2 walks for Blake Baltz, and the bases are loaded once again for Cash Duggar.
And look, it's just a rehash of what happened in that big second inning, at least for the Roadrunners, where UCLA had the bases loaded and Cash Duggar came up, and the innings ended there with UCLA not able to get anything on the board. So similar situation here, but with 2 outs. But hey, a hit drives in 2.
First pitch to Duggar is a slider outside, ball 1. So that was the 3rd walk of the game for Royce, and the first since he walked Baltz back in the 2nd. Got a ground ball double play out of Duggar with the bases loaded in that frame. And misses inside. 2 balls and no strikes. That was a fastball at 94 down around the knees, but 2 in off the plate.
Yeah, and Stuckey, the catcher, was set up on the outside. had to go all the way to the inside, didn't get the call.
2-0. And that's over the plate for a called strike. Now another fastball from Royce. Duggar perhaps looking for that off speed, did not get it. It's 2-1 with the bases loaded and 2 outs here in the 5th. The Bruins leading 3-2. The righty set, he throws. And that's on the outside corner for a called strike 2. The changeup just catching that corner. And the count evens against Duggar. Royce goes to the rosin bag. And looking for one more strike to try and strand the bases loaded for a second time today. 2-2. And that's off the end of the bat, lifted in the air to right field. Tausig is underneath, makes the catch in the gap. And the side retired. So Duggar cannot find that hit with the bases loaded for a second time. And after 5 here in Los Angeles, UCLA 3, UTSA 2.
All right, fans, it's time to get up on your feet and make some noise for our Super Regional snack and t-shirt toss. So you can snag some snacks and an NCAA t-shirt. We're looking for the loudest fans in the stadium to give away NCAA t-shirts and some wonderful snacks to enjoy the rest of today's ball game. The Cracker Jack is making its way around the stage. We're still looking for fans to get t-shirts. You get a t-shirt, you get a t-shirt, you get a t-shirt.
UCLA holding a 1-0 lead over, or excuse me, a 1-run lead, 3-2 score over UTSA as we begin the 6th inning. McClure, Moresi, and Gruel due up for the Roadrunners, 3, 4, and 5 in the lineup. Game 1 of the Super Regionals. We started the day still with 16 teams. One team has been eliminated. Auburn is out. Coastal is going to Omaha, the national champions back in 2016. Get the first spot in the College World Series. And these are two teams here in LA that have had fantastic seasons as McClure fouls off the first pitch for strike 1. UTSA with 47 wins this year, a program record. Hadn't eclipsed the 40-win mark prior to this season. Here's the 0-1-2 McClure, and he grounds it towards first. Lavue's got it, gloving it just above the dirt, takes it to the bag himself for out number 1 here in the 6th. UCLA, meanwhile, 45 wins after they had just 19 a year ago, a 26-game turnaround. That is the biggest mark in Division I this season. By the way, we mentioned UCLA's ability to come from behind, doing it 20 times this year. UTSA has more, as there's a bouncer the other way by Moresi down the left field line. West has it and will hold him to a single as Moresi just waved at it and bounced it past Roman Martin, who is playing off the line. Now, just to finish the thought, UTSA has 28 come from behind victories this year.
Yeah, I mean, it really just shows you how similar these two teams are. And quick little pit stop here about Michael Barnett. His last 8 outs have all been ground outs. Now, of course, there have been a hit or two sprinkled in within there, but that's what you get with the sinker baller. And now he's got a chance for one more here. Double play possibility with 1 out.
It's Gruel at the plate, and there's a fastball right over the plate above the knees for strike 1. So that single for Moresi snaps a run of 5 retired in a row by Barnett. UTSA hasn't had multiple base runners since they scored last in the second inning. A 1 pitch, and that is foul down the right field line and out of play. Barnett ahead 0-2. Pitch count not a concern yet for Barnett, only 67 now as he works into the 6th. And that's largely thanks to UTSA and how aggressive they have been. UCLA has some activity over there in the bullpen, ready to go when called upon. 0-2 to Gruel. Just outside, try to get him at the belt. So it's 1-2. Barnett, by the way, no strikeouts today. Did not have a strikeout last week. That did not happen all season for him. But he's proved effective, holding UTSA to 2 runs on 6 hits. Here's a 1-2, struck him out right on cue. A foul tip held on by Duggar. And there's 2 away here in the 6th inning.
And just a really well-placed changeup there. Josh got him to swing way out in front, and he did it by setting him up with those first 2 fastballs, then the foul ball, and then, hey, pull the string with that changeup, and that's a big second out. So now they can afford to just get a force out to get out of this inning.
Brings up Caden Miller, who is 1 for 2, with the runner on first and 2 gone in the top of the 6th. And Barnett misses outside with a slider, 1 ball and no strikes. 3-2 UCLA in the visiting 6th. And game 1 of the Super Regional. So plenty of sunshine overhead as we inch closer to 6 o'clock. And a pickoff throw to first, and back with the right hand safely is Moresi. 4 stolen bags on the year for the Italian. UCLA playing the left-handed hitting Miller to pull. Chalowski is behind the bag at second. Call into shallow right field. Here's the pitch. And it's outside. 2 balls and no strikes to Miller. Another off-speed pitch there from Barnett.
Yeah, started off with that fastball, then looked like a changeup there that he left a little bit up and away.
1-run ball game. And the pitch. Swing and a miss. That one was elevated. Looked like a slider there from Barnett. And a big cut there from Miller. 2-1.
Yeah, Miller wanted to hit that one onto the highway, looked like. That was a huge swing, but the outfield shifted over to the right side to account for the pole, playing pretty deep.
8 home runs on the season for Miller. Open stance from the left side, and he pulls this one foul. This will land in the practice infield off the right field corner. He was well out in front of that one, but drawing some ooze from the crowd with the sound and that launch angle. The count now 2-2.
Yeah, I think that ball, he straightens it out. That's over the batting facility. So he's got the power. Just got to straighten it out here with 2s all around. 2-2 and 2 outs.
And a runner on first in Moresi. Bruins protecting a 1-run lead here in the 6th. Barnett turns to first, and the pickoff throw not in time. UTSA has had base hits scattered throughout this ball game. Lytle's home run in the first. Miller at the plate, still home in the second. Not much doing since then. As Barnett has another pickoff throw, and again, Moresi back safely. Not a real aggressive lead over there, and for Barnett, I don't think his pickoff move as well. He's not really whipping around, just keeping him honest and perhaps lulling Miller a little bit at the plate, or trying to. 2-2 pitch. Down low. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Went to the changeup, and no bite out of Caden Miller.
Yeah, an 81 miles per hour down in the dirt. A good strike 2 pitch. Now full count, 2 outs. Moresi at first will be in motion.
UTSA, the best team in the country, dealing with full counts. Payoff pitch is grounded to first. Lavue's got it behind the bag, flips to Barnett, covering. He steps on it in time to retire Miller, and that'll end the inning. Another frame where UTSA has a hit, but it's left aboard. Michael Barnett has gone 6 full, and a little smile from the right-hander as he gets back to the dugout. UCLA continues to lead here in the middle of the sixth. It's the Bruins 3, the Roadrunners 2.
Tickets to an upcoming championship? Did you buy tickets that can no longer attend? Buy and sell with confidence at the NCAA Ticket Exchange. Enjoy the comfort of knowing tickets are authentic and 100% guaranteed. For more information, visit ncaa.com/exchange. Okay, fans, it's time for you to pick a next song. Let us know what song you want to hear next by cheering as loud as you can for your favorite team. Do you want to hear Kia by Drake? Or Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles? Your attention, please. Let's go to the bullpen for the Roadrunners at Carrington, bottom of the sixth inning. Pitching for the Roadrunners, number 45, right-handed pitcher, Connor Kelly.
UCLA leading UTSA 3-2. Bruins set to hit here in the last of the sixth. And they will face a new pitcher for UTSA, another right-hander, and Connor Kelly. Big guy, 6'5", 245 pounds. And in his junior season, Kelly's numbers on the season, pretty solid. He's got a 2.72 ERA as he makes his 24th appearance, 3-1 his record. 49 strikeouts and 36 in the third really stand out. And just 11 earned runs allowed all season. And so UTSA bringing in one of their high leverage guys after Zach Royce went the first 5 innings for UTSA.
Yeah, that was 5 innings, 9 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. 82 pitches total on the day for Royce as their starter. And now for Kelly coming in, he does have experience this season throwing over 40 pitches in a game. I think his season high is 59 on the season. So he does have the ability to give them a little bit of length here in the middle innings.
Facing 9-1-2 for the Bruins, Phoenix called Dean West and Rock Chalowski. 3-2, UCLA's lead. And the right-hander out of the stretch deals a strike. That one coming in at 92 miles an hour. Now, interesting to note for Kelly, he's alternated good outings and not so good outings. Here's his 0-1 to call. And the slider down and in, ball 1. But just last weekend, he pitched in the first game against Texas, gave up 2 runs in 1 2/3. Came back the next night in that clincher and had a scoreless frame. And he's kind of been seesawing like that over the last few weeks. There's a pitch outside. I had some break to it. 2 balls and a strike to call. So yeah, over his last, call it 6 appearances, he's alternated allowing multiple runs and then having shutout appearances. Now here's a swing and a foul as he comes inside with a fastball, and that one tapped to the backstop by Call, 2-2.
Yeah, and at least so far in these first couple of pitches, that fastball kind of up to about 93 miles per hour, and we've seen a couple of breaking balls. And he throws basically over the top and almost uses his hand as a whip as he releases it.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And the pitch. And that's low, 3-2. Another fastball there from Kelly. So a full count to Call, who is 1 for 2. Kelly trying to avoid a leadoff walk. And he hit him. Ooh, and Call falls down. Tough to tell exactly where that got him. But but he is now back onto his feet and will take first base. And it looked like that fastball had some run coming in on call. And he takes off his batting gloves here and just doubled over a little bit. I thought initially maybe that caught him on his rear leg a little bit, or maybe it got him up on his torso. But he was not anticipating that ball coming all the way in like it did.
No, and I mean, even on that pitch, it was a fastball that ended up on the inside part. He almost turned to swing at this pitch, and it looked like, it actually looked like it got him on his right forearm, and then maybe redirected and hit him in his midsection. And,
right just to the right of the dangerous area, but right below the belt at the top of his right leg there was where it got redirected.
Let's say he's not feeling like a spring chicken at the moment.
So he is aboard at first now, a leadoff base runner for UCLA. They've done that half the time this afternoon. And now here's Dean West. Bunt shown, and he takes upstairs. Fastball there from Kelly. And an interesting stance on the mound there for Kelly. He really stacks his lead left leg far in front of his right leg and actually points it behind third in doing so. Another bunt shown from West, but he takes outside as the fastball misses. 2 balls and no strikes.
And now, in spite of that hit by pitch to Phoenix call, he does have pretty good speed there on the base pass, being a middle infielder, but he is 2 for 6 in stolen bases this season.
He's taken a couple hard secondary leads, but hasn't been in motion. Another square from West, and he takes once more 3-0 on a third consecutive fastball off the plate.
And in terms of balls thrown, that's 5 in a row actually, including that hit by pitch and the pitch before that. So Dean West, if you're in the batter's box, you're taking one more.
Now time is called. It's the catcher, Andrew Stuckey, who is calling for it, and he is granted it by Derek Malika. And will make a slow walk out to the mound. McClure, the third baseman. Ballin, the second baseman. And now Ty Hodge, the shortstop, will also head on out there. And finally, Lorenzo Moresi, the first baseman, makes his way out onto the mound as well.
You know what? Why not just get the whole crew together and get them all there for a quick little Zoom meeting? But I think really the purpose of this mound visit, though, Stuckey's just trying to give him an extra second here to catch his breath. Look, that's 5 balls in a row, 5 fastballs that have not been in the zone in a row. Now home plate umpire Derek Moika also joining the conference call, but as they head back to home plate. But that's literally just a, hey, take a deep breath, get back into the zone. We need to strike here with this 3-0 count.
And by the way, for UTSA, Robert Orlowski, arguably their best pitcher, has just started getting loose in the bullpen. 3-2 UCLA here in the 6th. And the 3-0 finds the zone at the belt as West was squaring once again. So it's 3-1 with Phoenix call on first, nobody out. At third, McClure right on the edge of the infield grass, creeping forward. 3-1 pitch, no square, and it's a called strike on the outside at the belt. West cocked the bat a little bit. Not sure if he thought that one was high or outside, but it's now full. Kelly's 3-2. There goes the runner, and a swing and a foul to the backstop. So call taken off on the pitch, and he will have to head back to first.
He's turning into a classic Dean West at bat. Pitch number 7 coming up, but all fastballs. Those 3 balls that he threw to start as a 3-0 count. Now, Kelly being able to get back into the zone here, full count, still on fastballs.
Still holding set here. And the 3-2 once again, high and away, ball 4, not close. Called not running on that pitch. And it looked like Kelly was trying to find a little something extra on that fastball, and it cost him. That was more than a foot off the plate.
Yeah, he threw that one way out of the zone, and a quick little extra hesitation before he started his motion towards the plate, potentially to ice Phoenix call at first base who was moving on the previous pitch, but he didn't move and didn't really help at all as that pitch was way out of the zone.
Back-to-back freebies issued by Kelly. 2 on, nobody out for Rock Chalowski. 1 for 3 today. He does not have an extra base hit in the postseason. I think UTSA wants to call time here. Kelly just holding his glove to his ear. I think they're trying to buy time for Orlowski. That's exactly what they're doing. And here's a slow walk from Pat Hallmark. And the UCLA crowd knows what's going on. Hallmark is a fit guy. He can walk a lot faster than that. We don't blame him. Know what he's doing, but yeah, they want to get Robert Orlowski into this ball game as fast as possible.
I mean, that might have been the slowest mound visit walk I have seen this entire season, and maybe in all my years of watching baseball. I mean, that was
a saunter.
That was dramatic.
Here comes Derek Mojica, and waiting for Hallmark to point to the bullpen as Mojica joins him, and there's the point. There we go. So I love when we know exactly what's coming, because baseball is so unpredictable, but that whole sequence right there we saw coming from a mile away.
And I was watching the pen, and he was able to get maybe like 5 or so more pitches. And look, as much as we like to say sports isn't about, you can't act your way out of a sports situation, certainly baseball, it's skill. There's always a little bit of theater that you can play, and that's head coach Pat Hallmark for the Roadrunners, showing you how it's done. Give him the Oscar.
So UCLA leading 3-2 here in the last of the 6th. And UTSA will bring on Robert Orlowski. And it's really interesting how Orlowski has factored into their pitching staff this year. This guy was a starter a year ago, but they lost their previous closer, Ruger Riojas, who actually went to Texas, by the way. And so they needed, it's not a traditional closing role, but in this role, Orlowski, like Riojas before him, going to pitch multiple times in a weekend. He could go 3 innings one night, 2 innings the next night. He's kind of like this 4th starter who pitches at the back end of games.
Yeah, I mean, his season high in terms of innings pitched is 4 2/3. That's not very common for someone coming out of a pen, especially in college baseball, but I think the conversation around him was that, as you mentioned, he's arguably the best pitcher that UTSA has, and he's been having a great season so far. An ERA of 3.23, about 70 innings pitched, and over 75 strikeouts on the year. And in terms of his fastball, that fastball is going to be between 93 and 95 on the gun. So what you're going to see is a pitcher who is 6'4", who can throw some heat, and he's been arguably their best pitcher this season.
He is 8-0 with 9 saves to his credit. He's actually pitched more innings than one of their starters as well. That's how much work he has gotten this season, and would not be surprised to see him just go the rest of this ball game for UTSA. Last week had a 9-out save against Texas, and he also threw a couple of innings in their opener against Kansas State. Member of the American All-Freshman team last season. And now trying to keep this deficit right where it is for UTSA. And going to take on one of the best players in the country in Rock Chalowski momentarily. Phoenix call on second, led off the inning. He was hit by a pitch. And Dean West drew a walk moments ago against Kelly. And now it is Robert Orlowski out of Middleton, Idaho, coming on. And the right-hander deals down low for ball 1. That one just at the dirt behind the plate for ball 1 to Chalowski, who is 1 for 3.
Yeah, we referenced Orlowski on the mound. 93 to 95 with that fastball. He's got a slider and kind of short arms the ball to the plate. Stays close to his head.
There's a fastball and popped him up. Left side of the infield. McClure underneath it to his left makes the catch. Orlowski gets a weak pop-up out of Chalowski, who is now 1 for 4.
Yeah, and pretty consistently for Rock here in this game. He's been a little bit out in front on all of these fastballs, and certainly not getting that launch angle just right. Just a matter of time, though. He has been hitting the ball relatively well. Just missed a home run in his first at-bat of the game.
So that'll bring up Lavu. 2 on and 1 out. He's got an RBI double to his ledger today. And the left-handed hitter fouls off the first pitch fastball for strike 1. That one coming in at 94 miles an hour from Orlowski.
So they went from Kelly, who also was throwing 93-94, to yet another pitcher who throws pretty good heat, considering this is the college level.
Now all 3 pitchers, Royce as well, the starter, throwing in the mid-90s. Lavu's 0-1 is high and away, and he's even the count against Orlowski. 2 a ball and a strike. Now 85 batted in on the season for Lavu. He's going to have a chance at the end of the weekend to be tops in the country in that department because number 1 and number 2 aren't playing. Takes up and in, 2 balls and a strike. Another fastball from Orlowski. 3-2 UCLA here in the 6th.
Yeah, and so far 5 pitches thrown, 4 fastballs. He's been a little bit wild and up with those fastballs that he's missed with.
2-1. And there's a breaking ball over the inner half. 2-2.
That was a really good breaking ball there. Kind of 12-6 rotation with that overarm release, but it dipped right at the belt, so it actually was a bit of a hanger.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Lavu. And the fastball off the outside to run the count full. UCLA just 2 for 10 today with runners in scoring position. Trying to extend their 3-2 lead here in the 6th. First and second, 1 on, full count pitch to Lavu. Breaking ball, skied foul on the first base side. Only Lavu well out in front of that one. That went up in the air a mile before coming down just beyond the seats on the first base side.
Yeah, that was a big league lollipop right there. But Orlowski went back to the curveball there with 2 strikes. Pitch number 7 here, full count to Lavu.
3-2. Fastball shot high in the air to right field. Tausig at the track makes the catch. Tagging from second onto third goes Phoenix Call. There are now 2 away as Lavu put just a little too much top spin with that swing. Brought it back down for Tausig, who was looking into the sun to make that catch.
Yeah, good play by Tausig out in right. And to your point about Lavu, he just missed a 3-run home run. There's a slight breeze, but that didn't really help in that case. Again, that top spin as you referenced, and Phoenix Call did a good job of originally jumping towards third, but going back to tag to get to third base.
Should also mention, too, that Tausig was playing very deep as well. So on the corners, 2 outs for Roman Martin. And he takes off the outside for ball 1. Like a slider for the first time from Orlowski.
So we've seen a 4-pitch mix now. Fastball, curveball, change, and then that slider.
Overshift against Martin, 3 to the left of second. And the pitch is bounced behind second, knocked down by Ballin. He throws to first in time to retire Martin. So Ballin in perfect position with the shift to handle that well-struck ball. And UCLA, despite getting the first 2 aboard, strands a pair. After 6, UCLA 3, UTSA 2.
The top teams in the nation compete for a national championship June 13th through the 23rd of the 2025 NCAA College World Series in Omaha. Visit ncaa.com/NCWX to secure your championship experience today. Your attention, please. This battle of opening for UCLA occurs on the top of the 7th inning. Entering the game to relay for number 55, Michael Barnett. Now Pitching for the Bruins, right-handed pitcher, number 16, Jack O'Connor.
We head to the latter innings at Jackie Robinson Stadium in Los Angeles. UTSA led 2-0 after the top of the second. Bruins scored 2 in the third, another in the fourth to grab a 3-2 lead. And that has been the score ever since, as UCLA will bring on a new pitcher. Their first out of the bullpen is Jack O'Connor. He is making his 24th appearance of the season. The right-hander is 3-0 with a 1.88 ERA. In 24 innings, he's got 17 strikeouts, over 6 walks. And he is going to deal with the bottom of the lineup here for UTSA, Stuckey, Hodge, and Ballin.
That's going to be 2 righties and a lefty that he's going to face. Has not given up an earned run since May 21st against Illinois. And so he's been excellent on the mound and a good first person to come out of the pen. John Savage giving him the ball.
2 scoreless innings across 2 appearances last weekend in the regional. And he misses down and away for ball 1 to Stuckey, who has reached twice. A hit by pitch and a single. So for Barnett, he allows 2 runs in 6 innings, able to scatter 6 hits, no walks, and 1 strikeout. O'Connor misses up and in. 2 balls and no strikes.
That's 2 sliders in a row. Just missed the inside part of the zone. Did not get the inside strike call from Derek Moika, the home plate umpire.
O'Connor out of the stretch with the bases clear. And this one is foul. Low in the zone. And a yanked foul by Stuckey. 2 balls and a strike. And the shadows now starting to play a role here in this ball game. Home plate and the area surrounding it in shade, but O'Connor and much of the area between him and the batter in sun. 2 balls and a strike. O'Connor's pitch is sprayed high in the air down the right field line. This is trouble, falling quickly, but Salgado settles underneath and makes the catch. UCLA against a right-handed hitter, playing him to pull, so going the other way. Salgado had a lot of ground to track, but he did it quickly.
Yeah, did it well, in fact, and that was on a fastball that was on the outside part of the plate. Stuckey just kind of put his bat out there and got under this one, but good first out for O'Connor on the mound.
UCLA been so good here at home this season, now 29-7, and they did not lose a series here at home this year. Played on a couple of Sundays, but prevailed in all of them. There's a called strike from O'Connor into Hodge for strike 1. And by saying they played on Sundays, meaning they played a rubber match on Sunday. They got rubber match wins here at home against Nebraska, Washington, and Northwestern. A 1 pitch to Hodge, and that is fouled back and out of play. Jammed him in on the hands. And O'Connor ahead, 0-2. UTSA, they're 5-2 against ranked teams this season. 3-0 against Texas. Also beat A&M and Dallas Baptist. 0-2 pitch. High and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Straight fastball at 91 there from O'Connor.
And we were talking earlier about UTSA having the ability to, 1, draw walks, but 2, induce hit by pitches. Hodge very close to home plate here. He's right up on the plate.
And he chops one towards short. Chalowski ranging to his left. Quick throw on the run in time for out number 2. Chalowski fired up, standing in shallow center field, covering a ton of ground. 2 away here in the top of the 7th. Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, showing why right there.
I mean, he's the whole package. I mean, that ball, it was really a chopper that ended up on the deep part behind second base, and he didn't even spin on that throw. He threw with his momentum still moving to right field. basically no weight into that throw, all arm, and whipped it to first.
First two of the inning retired by O'Connor. And now here is Ballin hitting in the 9 spot. And there's a fastball at the knee, strike one. Bruins leading 3-2 in the visiting 7th. Ballin 0 for 2, couple of ground outs. Defense straight up from UCLA. And there's a called strike on the outside. Another fastball from O'Connor.
And he's been looking sharp. I mean, that's 10 pitches so far in this inning, 7 strikes, 1 away from getting back into that dugout.
O'Connor comes set, holding at the belt. And the righty comes home, and that fastball down and in. No chase there from Jordan Ballin. UCLA with their 3 runs on 9 hits, no errors. They have left 10 men on base, while UTSA has 2 runs on 6 hits, no errors, and 4 left. Here's the pitch, and Ballin pulls it on the ground, right to Phoenix, call it second. He's up with it cleanly, and a 1-2-3 top of the 7th for Jack O'Connor and UCLA. Time to stretch here at Jackie Robinson Stadium in Game 1 of the LA Super Regional. And as we head to the middle of the 7th, UCLA leads UTSA 3-2.
Stand up and join the singing of Take Me Up to the Ball Game.
UCLA trying to get to Omaha for the first time since 2013 and for the 6th time in program history. 2 wins away from doing so. We're in Game 1 of the LA Super Regional, and the Bruins leading visiting UTSA 3-2. We head to the bottom of the 7th inning. Bruins will have Salgado, Brennan, and Baltzu up against Robert Orlowski. And this right-hander very impressive when he came into the game in the 6th. He inherited runners on 1st and 2nd and got 3 outs against the heart of UCLA's lineup.
Yeah, and he did it on 11 pitches, so he's hoping to continue to give some length here, but he's been looking as advertised here for the Roadrunners.
A.J. Salgado can't check his swing on a high fastball. A wave and a miss there as Salgado is 2 for 3 rather. He is the only player in the lineup with multiple hits. Takes upstairs, 1-1 from Orlowski. Pipes in that fastball at 94. Into the windup now, and the breaking ball is skied high in the air to right center field. Lytle and Tausig converging, and it will be the center fielder Lytle making the catch in the gap for the first out of the 7th. So Orlowski, 4 up, 4 down since coming into the game.
Yeah, he's been looking good and really getting it by way of the pop out and the fly out. A lot of these ones are, well, at least on that last pitch, it was a curveball that, look, he just got way under it, but doing a good job of changing speeds and using 4 pitches to work on this Bruins lineup.
Here's Peyton Brennan as UCLA goes through 4 consecutive left-handed bats. And there's a fastball for a strike at the belt on the inside. Strike 1 against Brennan. You talk about change of speeds. Fastball from 94 and then that curveball down around 77. Another fastball. Brennan sprays it in the air to right field. Tausig stumbling, coming in, makes the catch. Range to his right, and then as he tried to plant and move in, he stumbled a little bit, but still able to track down the fly ball from Brennan. Two quick flyouts induced by Orlovsky here on the 7th.
Yeah, and a couple to your earlier point about that speed differential. It's also the way you change it, how you sequence those pitches during the at-bat, but also his release makes it tough to see what pitches are coming out of his hand. He hides that ball well behind his ear as he throws it, so sometimes you can't tell if it's going to be a high fastball or a curveball in the dirt.
Here's Blake Baltz. First pitch from Orlovsky is up and in, ball 1. Fastball there, above the letters. That's such a good point you make, too, about hiding the ball as long as possible. Comes back with another fastball, and it's off the outside. 2 balls and no strikes.
And in terms of the pitches that he's thrown so far, it's mainly been fastball, curveball, slider. No changeups at the moment, but really making use of that fastball and working off of it.
2-0 pitch is a bouncer up the middle to his left. Hodge bobbles it, can't make the play. Baltz is aboard. The shortstop ranging to his left looked to be in position to handle it, but he couldn't glove it on the run, and it's an error, the first of the game. Baltz is aboard with 2 outs.
And Baltz running pretty hard down the line. A chopper that hit right in front of the plate on the dirt, and at shortstop, Hodge got kind of a short hop, an in-betweener that really, at that point, it's do or die as you're moving towards first base. And that time, he died on that play. So an E6 for the Roadrunners.
1 on, 2 out for Cash Duggar. Bruins leading 3-2. And there's the curveball coming inside. Ball 1 to Duggar, who is 1 for 3. Had a chance to extend UCLA's lead last time up with 3 on and 2 out, but flew out to right field. Now looks at a fastball high and away, and the count to 2 balls and no strikes.
That ground ball error there by Hodge. That's a string of 4 in a row that Orlovsky, actually, excuse me, 5 in a row that he was able to retire.
It's been a pretty good defense this year for UTSA. And it's now 3-0 as Orlovsky puts that fastball low and inside. Easy takes here for Duggar to get to 3-0.
Yeah, and sometimes when you get a runner on base, it kind of, you don't think it changes anything in your head, but as a pitcher, sometimes just changes it enough for you to just miss the zone.
And he finds it here. A 3-0 fastball over the outer half to get the count to 3-1 against Cash Duggar. Defense playing the pull against a left-handed hitter. Hodge right up the middle, just to the left of the bag at second. 3-1, and it's a called strike 2. Duggar hoping he had ball 4, but right on the edge there, and now the count is full.
Yeah, I mean, 93 on the outside. Stuckey, the catcher, with a good frame, getting the call from Derek Mojica, the home plate umpire.
Full count pitch, struck him out swinging. Put that fastball right at the knees. Duggar swung through it, and that'll end the inning. First strikeout for Orlovsky, who is able to deal with the error, stranding Baltz on first. We've played 7 full in LA. UCLA continues to lead UTSA 3-2.
Attention please, this total of 14 points. UCLA carries an entirety 8th inning. Entering the game to relief for number 16, Taco Connor. Now pitching for UCLA, number 30, left-handed pitcher, August Souza.
On to the 8th inning here at Jackie Robinson Stadium, and it has been tight throughout. 3-2 Bruins over the Roadrunners. And UTSA will hit here momentarily to begin the 8th inning. They will do so against a new pitcher. It is August Souza, a grad transfer from Santa Clara, originally from Reno, pitched for John Savage's brother Pete at Reno High. Will come on for his 27th appearance of the season. A 5.84 ERA, 23 strikeouts in 24 2/3. And he's going to face the top of the order here for the Roadrunners. Lytle, Tausig, and McClure. Out of the stretch for the bases clear. First pitch to Lytle is a slider over the inner half for strike one. Last we saw of Souza was in that game against UC Irvine in the regional final. Came on in the 7th inning, issued a walk to load the bases in a 3-run game, and then promptly got a strikeout to get out of it. And now he gets a big swing and a miss. That slider going down low below the knees, and Lytle fooled, 0-2. And finally, Souza would go on to the 8th inning against the Anteaters, get a couple more strikeouts. He looked great last time on the mound. Ahead 0-2 against Lytle. Top hitter in this UTSA lineup. The pitch. This time he lays off the slider. Put down and away by Souza. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's a perfect waste pitch. That was 2 in a row. He said, I'll go back to it one more time. Didn't get induced the swing that time, but still a 1-2 count. He can change the eye levels and go up with the fastball or stick with the breaking ball.
1-2 to Lytle. String and a miss, and it gets away from Duggar. He tracks it down, rifles the throw to first in time. Another slider got him swinging, and it's a strikeout to start for Souza.
And a little tension there on that throw as it almost got to the maybe halfway to the backstop, but good heads-up play by Cash Duggar behind the plate. And you referenced August Souza with that ERA over 5. Now, it's a little bit of a deceptive statistic because in his last 6 appearances, he's only given up 2 earned runs, and 6 of those earned runs he's given up during the season came during his first 3 innings pitched. So you take those out, obviously he's been having a pretty good season, especially during the second half.
Now dealing with the big James Tausig, and gets a swing and a miss. Back foot breaking ball for strike 1. And you reference the ERA there, and John Savage has talked about how Souza, coming off a major injury, kind of had to work his way into the season. He was not the 8th inning setup guy until the back half of the year. Another slider down and away. A ball and a strike to Tausig. So Souza has earned this opportunity and now really starting to thrive. Tausig 0 for 3. A fly out and a couple of bounce outs. The strapping left-handed hitter has been muted a little bit, and there's another wave and a miss. Another slider from Souza. It's all he has thrown since coming into the game, and he's ahead 1-2.
Yeah, that's 7 in a row, and he's been in the zone with it, and they've been swinging at it, so I don't know. Maybe stick with it one more time.
Souza set. He kicks, and the 1-2. Struck him out swinging. Another slider in the dirt. Duggar in front of the plate. Completes the strikeout. Throwing onto Lavu at first. And it's back-to-back Ks to begin the 8th inning for Souza in a 1-run ball game.
And continued backstop. Well, great backstop work there by Cash Duggar behind the plate. I mean, look, strike him out, throw him out. But August Souza, he's really just layering in these pitches where they're starting at the belt and then they're dipping below the shins. Can't really write it up much better, and August Souza showing why he was on that Stopper of the Year watch list back in 2024.
Another left-handed hitter now in McClure. First pitch, and was that the first fastball? That one coming down and in at 93, ball 1.
I mean, talk about a speed differential there. I mean, fastball at 93, and that breaking ball with that 12-6 with a slight lateral movement in the upper 70s.
Now the 1-0 to McClure, and that is grounded right at Phoenix Call, playing in shallow right field in the hole. He's got it, and throws out McClure at first. And it's another 1-2-3 inning for UCLA. August Souza with a couple of strikeouts. That is now 8 retired in a row by Bruin pitchers, extending back to Michael Barnett in the 6th. And now the Bruins look to add some insurance. Middle of the 8th inning. It's UCLA 3, UTSA 2.
Direct your attention to the video board and see if you know the answer.
UCLA leading UTSA 3-2. We go to the last of the 8th inning here at Jackie Robinson Stadium in Los Angeles. Game 1 of the Super Regional. We referenced the statistic earlier in the broadcast, but Game 1 winners in the Supers have gone on to win the series 79% of the time. Bruins made up an early 2-0 deficit, scoring 3 unanswered runs. And what we anticipated to maybe being a high-scoring game, given these offenses score 8 to 9 runs per game. You're playing in the mid to late afternoon, now into the early evening. But these offenses have been neutered over the middle, now into the latter part of this game.
Yeah, both pitching staffs have been pretty excellent so far. And again, for both teams, as you mentioned, over 8 runs a game. They've been pretty quiet at the plate.
Phoenix Call leading off the inning, squares, and ultimately takes a fastball for a strike over the inner half from Orlowski, who has gone 2 scoreless so far out of the bullpen for UTSA. Call leading off an inning for the 3rd time today. He's 1 for 2 in that regard. Overall, he's 1 for 2 in getting himself on base. He was hit by a pitch last time up, leading off the 6th. It's 1 for 2 overall, having a base hit back in the 4th inning. Here's a 1-1 pitch, and the fastball down and away. 2 balls and a strike. Orlowski only at 28 pitches now. This is a guy who has gas in the tank as well, so no concern there for the Roadrunners. 2-1 fastball, just outside. Stuckey tried to frame it, does not get the call. It's 3 balls and a strike to Call as UCLA looks to extend its 3-2 lead before the 9th inning.
That was 93 on the black.
3-1, that's inside for ball 4, and Phoenix Call is aboard to lead off the 8th. And now the lineup card flips over. Dean West will come forward.
Yeah, when you have Dean West coming up in that last at-bat, what was it? A walk. Classic Dean West baseball. But had that single back in the 3rd inning, but again, the top of the order, pretty dangerous, especially later on in the game, as UCLA has shown, and they only have 9 hits in the game. But hey, 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position, so they've got some work to do.
1 on, nobody out for West, who has been productive. He squares and takes a fastball on the inside for strike 1. West, in addition to that walk, he's got a sac fly, he's got a single and a run scored. And by the way, Phoenix Call, 4 plate appearances. He has reached in 3 of them. Productive there in the 9th spot. West squaring again, puts it down, foul on the 3rd base side, and McClure reacting to the contact, lost his footing over there on the infield grass, coming in from 3rd. But now it's 0-2.
Maybe a little bit slippery on the grass. I mean, certainly we're not in the evening, and there's certainly no question about marine layer or moisture in the air, but maybe just the difference in feel between the dirt and the grass got him.
Orlowski ahead, 0-2 against West. No pitch is fouled off to the left side. Another fastball at 93 there from Orlowski. Slight breeze out towards right center field. Shadows canvassing home plate and the left side of the infield. Some light filtering through them though. 0-2 again, and it hit him. right on the back. West just turns and takes it. First two aboard for UCLA. So this is just like the 6th inning. Getting the first two aboard. The Bruins against Orlowski then could not do anything about it. Now facing the right-hander a second time with this part of the order. Can they get that insurance?
And now the question for Pat Hallmark, the head coach for the Roadrunners, is what do you do? Orlowski is your best pitcher. Meanwhile, Dean West just continuing to rack up the free passes. 46 walks on the year, but now number 22 in terms of hit by pitches.
And he's now in front of Rock Chalowski in that regard. First and second, nobody out for Rock. And the first pitch to him, he's looking to bunt, and it's fouled up the third base line. A drag bunt there, running out of the box as he tried to put it down.
Yeah, and that's not what you expect when you see Mr. Chalowski come up to the plate, but McClure was charging on that play, and so the play is really to get two runners into scoring position with no outs.
And Levi-Lavu on deck. That's a UTSA move right there, bunting with one of your best hitters at the plate. But it's 0-1 as Chalowski settles back in for the right side of the dish. 0-1. That's up and in, bending out of the way of the fastball. 1-1 to Chalowski, who is 1 for 4 today. And we remind you, UCLA just 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The UCLA's offense has put pressure on as Chalowski lines it in the air to center field, but hanging up for Lytle, who is there making the catch. Tagging from second is Call. He will advance to third as there is now one out. So a productive out there for Chalowski, and puts the sac fly in play for Lavu.
And just yet another fly out, but another element of good contact by Chalowski moves that runner over to your point, and now just one out in the inning. So for Orlowski, obviously you want that ground ball double play, and with that, shortstop Hodge playing behind second base, and second baseman Ballin playing towards the right to account for the pull.
Can Lavu drive in that run? Get UCLA a 2-run lead. First pitch curveball on the outside for a strike. Lavu 1 for 4, an RBI double back in the third inning. UCLA has had 2 runners on in 6 of their 8 offensive innings tonight. And there's a swing and a foul straight to the backstop, 0-2. With that kind of ratio, you'd expect to have more than 3 runs on the board.
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet, but not for a lack of good contact. There has been, but some of these balls just have not been dropping. That launch angle just a little bit up. A lot of fly balls from this Bruin offense.
Orlowski ahead 0-2 against Lavu. The pitch is fought off and fouled. Back behind home plate, an elevated fastball there. Still 0-2.
And he's really bringing the heat. That last pitch at 94 miles per hour, and that was pitch number 40. Because now there's a little bit of action in that UTSA bullpen.
Kendall Dove and Christian Okerholm getting loose for UTSA as Pat Hallmark comes out along with the battery. He got out to to the mound a lot faster than he did last time.
That was exactly the point I was going to make. I was like, that last time he was preparing for his debut in Hollywood with this team being in town, but this time he wanted to get out there a little bit quickly and maybe talk to his pitcher and have a little bit more time there on the bump.
Continuing to talk with Orlowski, and Stuckey, the catcher, out there as well. First and third, 1 out for UCLA here in the home half of the 8th inning, and a 3-2 lead for the Bruins. And the man with the second most RBIs in the nation at the plate in Levi-Lavu. Bruins have had a runner on third, less than 2 outs on 3 occasions today. They've only been able to take advantage 1 time. 0-2 to Lavu, and there's a shallow pop-up into right field. This is not going to be deep enough. Making the catch is Ballin back from second base, and Call holds up there at third. And UCLA now 1 for 4 in executing those opportunities.
Yeah, and that's 2 for 13 now with runners in scoring position. 2 for 14 now, actually, with that Lavu pop-out, and not a productive out with 1. But now 2 outs. And Roman Martin coming up, who has been, as we've seen throughout the regionals and certainly today, he's been hitting the ball hard and hitting the ball well, and they just need a hit really to just drive in that runner at third. That's Phoenix call, and that'd be a huge insurance run late in this game.
So here's Roman Martin now on the corners with 2 outs. And now there's a step off from Orlovsky. He get away with a balk.
He might have.
Now set. First pitch to Martin, up and in with a fastball. 1 ball and no strikes. 3-2 UCLA in the 8th. It'll be the middle of the lineup for UTSA in the 9th. Moresi, Krul, and Miller. And Easton Hawk is in the bullpen. Curveball down low. 2 balls and no strikes.
And a well-placed curveball, but Martin, especially in this situation, you're looking for your 1 pitch. You come up with an approach for perhaps a fastball in or a pitch on the outside, whatever it is. 2-0, he's looking for 1 pitch.
UCLA does not have a 2-out hit today. And that one is on the inner half. 2 balls and a strike. A slider there from Orlovsky. Going back to it. 2-1 to Martin.
And what that tells me is that he's looking fastball because, I mean, that was a pitch right down the middle. You don't take that unless you're not looking for it.
Again, the shift on against Martin. And that one comes inside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Another fastball at 94 miles an hour from Orlovsky. Martin is 1 for 3. He has also reached on a walk. Phoenix call on third, West on first. Here's the pitch, and Martin chops it foul up the third base line. Dean West taking off on that one. Full count now, 3-2, and he will take off again. AJ Salgado on deck if the inning can continue. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Orlovsky's pitch is lined to right center field towards the gap. It is down, base hit up off the wall. Call is in. West being waved around third. He scores. Roman Martin slides into third with a 2 RBI triple, and UCLA extends its lead here in the 8th inning, now leading 5-2.
And I think you can't do it much better than that. Roman Martin, once again, taking that ball to the opposite field, and almost an incredible play by Tausig, the right fielder, as he was lunging for that ball on the run and just missed it. But Roman Martin hit this ball with authority, and that pitch got a little bit middle away, and he's been looking opposite field the entire game. So a nice, easy triple, and that's some big couple of runs there for UCLA to give him a 3-run lead.
That ball off the end of the bat had some English to it. It was actually helping Tausig, curving towards him, and he lunged on the run, could not get there as Pat Hallmark comes out, and that will be it for Orlovsky. UCLA finally gets that 2-out hit. They get just their 3rd hit with a runner in scoring position, and they have given themselves some crucial insurance here in the 8th inning.
And it took them a little bit of time there, but 15 runners in scoring position today. And so the fact that they only have 5 runs on the board is surprising, considering how much, really on all cylinders, this offense has been firing. And so now pitching change, and with Pat Hallmark taking Orlovsky out of the game, who is arguably their best pitcher, starter or otherwise, we'll see what type of depth UTSA has, but they are going through quite a few pitchers here in Game 1 of this series.
And they burned Royce, of course, the starter, and Orlovsky 2 2/3, and he threw 47 pitches. Oh, no doubt, I'm going to venture a guess we will see Orlovsky again this weekend, but UCLA able to get him to work a lot here today. And now another right-hander coming out of the bullpen for UTSA, Kendall Dove, a sophomore at 6'5", 228, is coming on and making his 17th appearance this year, a .554 earned run average, and a 3-0 record. In 26 innings, he's got 26 strikeouts against 10 walks, and just trying to find the final out here in the last of the 8th inning. those two freebies to start the inning, a walk and a hit batter, have given UCLA an opportunity, and finally they cash in thanks to Roman Martin, the most outstanding player of the regional weekend to go. Gives UCLA that breathing room looking ahead to the 9th inning.
Yeah, and I mean, like last year, he batted at 300, but started slow this season, actually. But as he got to, April, May, he really turned it on, and he's really showing why he deserves a spot on this team, but why he deserved that recognition you mentioned. 2 for 4 in this game, that batting average up to 315. And so now with Dove coming up here to pitch, you mentioned that ERA, and he did come in and pitch against Texas back in the regionals, pitched on May 31st, through an inning, but we'll see what he can do here to just try and hold this UCLA offense, who finally is now in the double digits with 10 hits. And they're looking to get some more here with a runner on third and Roman Martin.
A.J. Salgado, the batter, and Kendall Dove out of the windup with the runner on third. And that one bounces in front of the plate. Stuckey with a terrific block sliding to his right. And that was a 58-foot pitch.
I mean, for a second from the booth here, it almost looked like it hit, well, the batter, Salgado. But just a really good stop, especially with that spin to keep that runner at third and Martin from scoring.
Dove spent his freshman year at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and now with UTSA as a sophomore. His 1-0-2 Salgado is outside. Salgado lifting that bat a little bit, but he takes it to get the count to 2-0. And now Salgado taken all the way. And was time called? Yes.
Yeah, it looks like Salgado called time on that pitch, but Dove still threw the ball to the plate, but it wouldn't count for a pitch.
So here's the 2-0 for real. Swing and a miss. That one left elevated. Fastball at 89 from Dove, and a little bit of a changeup from the previous pitchers here, and that Dove's not throwing mid-90s. 2-1 now, and that's down and in. 3 balls and a strike as that one clipped the dirt right as it met the catcher.
Yeah, I mean, that curveball, or breaking ball rather, at 81, the fastball up to 89 from Dove, and that's a 5-mile-per-hour difference basically between what the rest of the pitching staff for UTSA has shown.
3-1. That's off the outside, ball 4. The inning will continue.
And look, if you're Salgado, that's exactly what you want to do. New pitcher, got a runner on third. You can afford to be patient. And in terms of Dove and his line for the season, he hasn't necessarily had walk troubles. 35 innings pitched, 14 walks, now make that 15. But now, 2 outs, and again, in that 4-batter run of left-handed hitters in this lineup who have been pretty deadly here throughout the season and certainly in the postseason.
So Peyton Brennan will hit with first and third, 2 outs in the last of the 8th. UCLA now up 5-2. We had no runs scored in innings 5, 6, and 7. But the Bruins finally cashing in here late. Brennan takes a pitch under his arms for ball 1. 5 runs on 10 hits for UCLA. They've also drawn 6 walks, have been hit by a pitch twice. There's an error in there as well, so plenty of base runners. Outside, 2-0. That was a change up there off the outside from Dove. 2-0 to Brennan, who could help add to this lead with Martin on third and Salgado on first. Here's the pitch, and Brennan grounds it right to second, bouncing up to Ballin, and he throws out Brennan at first for the final out of the inning. But UCLA extends its lead. 2 runs on 1 hit with 2 left on base. Easton Hawk coming out of the bullpen will face the middle of the UTSA lineup, trying to cement a Game 1 victory in the Supers for UCLA when we return. It's the Bruins 5 and UTSA 2.
attention, boys. Let's go to the bullpen for UCLA. Parents at the top of the ninth inning. Entering the game for the Bruins in reliever number 30, August Souza. Now pitching for the Bruins, number 27, Easton Hall.
On to the ninth inning in Los Angeles, game one of this Super Regional. And UCLA with a 5-2 lead will now look to close it out here on the top of the ninth. Easton Hawk, the freshman who has been in this closing role in the back half of the season, is out of the bullpen and on the mound. He's got 6 saves this year and a 1-1 record and a 5.31 ERA, but he has been phenomenal as of late. Over his last 9 appearances, he has allowed just 1 run while striking out 11 batters over that span. And in postseason play, opponents are hitting just 143 against him, and he's got a couple of saves. So he has saved his best for the end of the season here.
And was able to clinch that regional for the Bruins against Irvine last week. And remember, he's doing this all as a freshman, so a lot of poise on that mound right now for the Bruins.
And UCLA pitching has retired 8 in a row and 13 out of the last 14. First pitch fastball fouled off by the left-handed hitting Lorenzo Moresi. It's 4, 5, and 6 here for UTSA with Gruhl and Miller to follow. Moresi 1 for 3. 1 of 6 hits today for UTSA, and he sprays this one to left field, but Dean West is there towards his left and makes the catch. 2 pitches and 1 out for Easton Hawk and UCLA.
And pretty decent contact by Moresi on that fly out. A little bit of spin that drove it towards the left field line, but this one was in left center field. Dean West with a nice catch and a big first out to the top of the ninth.
And we will get a pinch hitter here for the DH, Gruhl. It's going to be Brock Palmer, a junior and reserve catcher, will come off the bench for UTSA. Another left-handed bat. He's hitting .279 this year in 43 at-bats with 1 home run and 10 driven in. And Hawk starts with a slider on the outside for strike 1.
Really spun beautifully off the hand there. Started on the outside, ended up on the outside corner.
Palmer, 6'3", slightly open stance. Check swing on a slider on appeal. He did not go. Travis Carlson, the third base umpire, says he held up. At least to my eye, I think that's the right call. 1-1.
That was a good call, and you've got the replay here, and ooh, it might have been a 50-50 call.
I think he went about 90%, but not quite. And there's strike 2. Another slider from Hawk on the outside corner. It's a ball and 2 strikes now. With the bases clear and 1 out in the ninth, the Bruins leading 5-2. It's about as close as you can go without going, I think.
Exactly.
Fastball, another check swing. That time he went. He's tagged out. It's a strikeout, and there's 2 away in the ninth.
And it didn't quite look like a fastball there, but he took something off that pitch. An 89-mile-per-hour, perhaps changeup there. And a check swing, but this time he definitely went about 60-70% of the way. Cash Duggar with the tag on that drop third strike, and 1 out away from taking game 1 of this Super Regional here in LA.
And the Bruin fans onto their feet. Miller is the batter. Another left-hander. And Hawk starts with a back foot slider, ball 1. Hawk closed out the regional against UC Irvine on Sunday. Got back-to-back strikeouts to end it. His 1-0 pitch. That is down and in. Duggar tried to frame it. 97 miles an hour there from Hawk, but he falls behind 2-0 to Miller, who had that incredible play of stealing home way back in the second inning.
Feels like ages ago, but that level of aggressiveness in UTSA.
2-0 at the knees, a called strike. 97 again from Hawk. 2 balls and 1 strike to Miller.
And early on in the game, they were swinging first pitch, second pitch, but they've been really trying to work the count. Meanwhile, UCLA taking advantage of that and been getting outs, keeping them quiet.
Hawk into his motion, delivers. Breaking ball fought off, 2-2, and UTSA now down to its final strike. UCLA up 5-2. Base is clear, 2 outs in the 9th inning. 2 balls and 2 strikes as Hawk faces Miller. An extra rub down to the baseball from Hawk. Now he kicks and throws. Fastball just missing inside. 3-2.
And a good pitch, a little bit low. Trying to get that strikeout at the knees. Got to do one more here. Full count. Can't write it any better.
Stuckey on deck if Miller can extend the ball game. 3-2 pitch. Fastball struck him out looking. UCLA takes game 1 of the Super Regional 5-2 over UTSA. Easton Hawk finishes it off for his 7th save of the season, and this UCLA pitching staff closes the game, retiring 11 in a row and 16 of the last 17 batters they faced.
And to do it against an offense that scores 8 runs a game and to hold them to 2 runs, both of those coming just in the first 2 innings of the game. So that's, what, the entire rest of the game there from the 3rd on, where they were quiet, and you felt that in that dugout where they came out aggressive, ready for game 1, stealing home, as we talked about. And then after that, UCLA kind of just quietly came back as they do, and as they have done throughout the entire season, and finally got the bats going in the middle innings with the 3 runs in the 3rd and the 4th, then getting 2 more later in the game. And you mentioned the pitching staff. Michael Barnett coming out throwing 6 innings, 2 earned runs, and the rest of the bullpen. O'Connor,